Hello, everybody. It's me, Mia Fran again. Welcome back to my channel and to another episode of Utano Podcast, the only fan-run Utapri podcast on the internet, as far as I know. Um, so today I'm very excited because we are going to be discussing Utapri Fanfiction, and as you guys know, we've talked about Gekidan Shining, whole other aspect of Utapri. We've talked about um, the wiki, running that, and how that you know goes with everything. Now we're going to talk about fan fiction, and everybody knows that fan fiction is like a whole other like rabbit hole that I'm very excited to go down because I'm sure a lot of you guys watching have also read some Utapri fan fiction or have written some Utapri fan fiction. Um, so I'm gonna talk about that with a very good expert, I believe. Excuse me, and that is my special guest for today, which is Annie. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Annie.
Hello, my name's Annie. I like Utapri. I like writing, so I like Utapri fan fiction. That's like my jam. That's my favorite thing to do in regards to fandom stuff.
Is that your bread and butter?
It is. You could say that, yes.
Okay. Very cool. Well, we do have a PowerPoint that Annie has, but first, before we get to the PowerPoint, oh my god, sorry guys, before we get to that, tell everybody a little bit like how did you get into Utapri, Annie?
So it's kind of, I mean, it's not that funny of a story, but I like telling it. I used to work at a pet store, and this was like back in 2018. And we were in the middle of a blizzard at work, and I was waiting for a shipment of like pet supplies to come in. So I was just sitting there waiting for the truck, and the snow delayed it. And so I went on the Play Store, and I was like, well, I'll just like download a new game because I was bored of everything else. And I saw Shining Live in the App Store, and I downloaded it, and it immediately ruined my life. And yeah, the rest is history after that.
So you got into Utapri like more recently.
Yeah, I feel
because
like
of Shining Live.
I feel like compared to a lot of other fans that I've met, I haven't been around as long as like people that started with the anime or people that started with the games. But that's like 5 years ago actually now. So yeah, it's kind of a while, but it's also like flown by. It feels pretty.
Yeah, it does. Because like I only had gotten into Utapri in 2016, so like I still consider myself like fairly new. Even though other guests I've had on here have also kind of joined around the time of like because they played Shining Live or because like they watched the anime like around the same time that I watched it. So, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you had only gotten into it because of Shining Live. I assumed that you were into the series like before that.
Yeah, I stumbled into it and I kind of fell hard, honestly. I downloaded the game and I was playing through it when I was waiting, and then as soon as I got home, I Googled more about it and I saw that there was a whole anime and like it was a huge franchise, and yeah. Pup, you need to be quiet. I'm on a podcast. Sorry, I have a fuzzy friend with me, but
it's okay.
But yeah, so I watched the anime very quickly. I caught up with everything, and it was kind of fun to come into that time because pretty soon after that, like the movies started to come out, and it was really fun time to be.
Well, involved. Yeah, and then Anime Expo announces like, oh yeah, we're gonna premiere the like international premiere.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy.
Also, 2 of the voice actors will be there, so like come on down.
Yeah, and it didn't help that it was, Mama, like my best boy, was there, and I was like, well, I can't miss it. I have to go.
Well, yeah, of course, that's why I went too. Like, well, that's why me and my friend Chantal were like, she's a huge Momo fan too.
Sure.
We were both like, oh, we have to go. Like if we don't go, this is like our only chance to like ever see see
Yeah.
stuff like this in person. So like we have to go.
Yeah.
So we went.
It was really cool. Like I met a lot of Twitter people there. That was like I met you there. You know, we like very briefly
we met
crossed
each other
paths.
very briefly. Okay, so
Yeah.
to tell that story. Okay, so basically, after they showed us, I don't know why I didn't stay for the Inspector panel, because then I went and watched Inspector after that. And I'm like, I really love that show. That show's great.
Oh, the ending's so good.
Because they had like a well, season 1's ending is really good. Season 2's ending is it's another Mama song, but it's good, but it's not like as fun as like the first one.
Yeah.
I think I still like the song.
I agree. I'm with you there.
But so like it's because they had 3 panels with him like back to back to back in that same room.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if you watched the first one before Utapri, because I did.
I lined up. I got there down. I think I walked there at 5 a.m. I think is when I started. Like I left my hotel, and I watched the Human Lost.
Yeah, so did
before that. Yep.
Well, also because he was talking before the movie too. So
yeah, he was.
So we watched, and you can watch that if you Google it, you can find like the recording of that on Facebook.
Oh, you
can like that panel, yeah, because like they record like that one was like a worldwide premiere or something, so they actually recorded that.
Oh,
and people
gotcha.
could watch it live.
Okay,
it was like live streamed. So like that was recorded. The Utapri stuff was not. You could not take pictures or record anything.
Yeah, that was big sad.
And I'm sure I think they did record it like for documentation purposes, but I don't think they ever put it on anything specifically.
Yeah, it hasn't
like
popped
Japanese.
up anywhere to my knowledge.
No, well, and then also like people, I remember having to post like, bruh, like please take down any videos or pictures you've taken because they're gonna get really mad. Like,
yeah, that was a big thing.
Because people were doing it.
It's like you want to behave. If we want them to come back and do more events, we got to listen to the rules. We got to be nice. We got to respect.
But anyway, to get back to how we met and everything.
Yes.
So after the Utapri screening, like you could leave. It's a no clear room, so that means like the room, they're not going to clear the whole room before the next panel starts. Like you could stay in there all day if you want to. You don't have to leave. So there was another panel after that. Like I said, it was the Inspector panel because that show had like not come out yet. It was like going to premiere on Crunchyroll soon. So we left because I'm like, okay, well, we're done with Utapri. Like yeah, and they're giving out posters at the end, like outside. And my God, you leave that room. We left that room, and it was like
it was an
sea of people.
It was crazy.
Like it reminded me of like when I because I've seen Panic! At the Disco and Fall Out Boy live, not at the same time, but like I've been to concerts where like it's a small venue versus like a large venue. The first time I saw it was the second time I saw, because the first time I saw Panic! At the Disco, like it was very small venue, and everyone was squished together. But the second time, it was a bigger venue, but it was still like a small venue, and that one I had to get pulled out of because I couldn't breathe. It sucked. And I lost my brother. Like I lost him in the crowd. So it reminded me of that, where we're like sardined in together.
Yeah, it was just like that.
It wasn't quite like it wasn't like a mosh pit or anything. Obviously, it wasn't a concert, but it was like, where I'm pressed up against people and it's kind of hard to move around because everyone is trying to like get to where they're passing out posters.
Yeah.
And of course, like they were passing them out in like the worst way possible. They didn't even try to like form a line.
It's just every man for themselves.
Yeah, which I'm just like, okay, what the hell? If I was the one organizing that shit, I would have been like, people have to get in line. If you're not in line, I'm not giving you a poster.
Yeah, it kind of felt like an afterthought, almost like, oh shit, we have these posters we got to hand out.
Yeah, and it's this poster right here, that one that I have right there on the wall. It's that poster. It's a Modular Kingdom poster. So that's what they're handing out. And, like, I don't remember. I think, like, the day before or something, or what I had seen, like, what you were wearing, because you were wearing your...
I had my Prince parka.
Yeah. And we saw each other, and I was like,
yeah.
Hey!
Yeah, I think you, like, you got my attention, and I looked over, and I was like, oh my gosh!
I was like, hey, what's up?
Yep.
And then that was, like, pretty much it, because it was kind of like...
you were going one way, I was going the other, and we just kind of, it was like two ships in the night. We were just like, hello!
Hello!
And then we were separated again, but
I know.
that was very fun.
Now we're here on the podcast. Although, if we were able to meet again at a convention, I would definitely, like, you know, we would hang out, I feel like. We could,
oh,
like,
yeah,
chill,
definitely.
you know? So the next time, let's hang out and chill.
You got
and not
it.
just briefly say hi.
Yes, we will go, like, catch up, get something to eat. We'll have a proper meeting.
We'll have a proper meetup. We talk about how much we miss Shining Live. All right.
Yep.
Are you playing the Japanese server?
I haven't downloaded the Japanese server.
Me neither.
I was kind of fizzling out by the time the announcement came out anyway.
Me too. I moved on to other games.
Yeah, I kind of did too. But you know, it's still sorely missed. You know, there is time. I haven't deleted it from my phone. It's still on there. I can't really bring myself to get rid of it. But
I did, because I don't want to accidentally, like, open it and then it be greeted with the message of, like, it's closed.
Oh yeah, that would be.
I had to say goodbye. I mean, it's not the first time that I've deleted a game that I haven't really played.
Mm-hmm.
I did that to Mr. Love right quick. And more recently I did it to Tears of Themis, just because that game is fucking huge.
Yeah, they're getting kind of big.
They're getting so big. Like, well, now I have 2 Obey Me games on here because Nightbringer just came out. So it's just like, it's a lot.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that boat too. I downloaded Nightbringer and I was like, yeah, 2 Obey. I like Obey Me, but this is getting to be a little much.
Well, the other thing is, like, the events are the fucking same in both games.
Yeah, that's
so I'm kind of like, why did you make the new game? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I deleted. I was sad, but also not sad when I deleted Mr. Love, because I was mad at them for changing all the voice actors.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, it was bad. I was very sad, because it's like, I can still play, but I know that the voices aren't the same. It's not the same. Also, I was paying for, like, VIP in that game too, which was, like, a little bit less. It was like $3 a month or something.
Mm-hmm.
But also, that game is really hard to grind anyway, and I was not getting any closer to, like, catching up with the stupid fucking story. So I just deleted that. I did the beta for Tears of Themis, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's like Mr. Love, except you're a lawyer. And Junichi Suabe is in the Japanese dub, so I'm gonna play it. And then I had to restart the whole game again when they opened the actual game, and so I got annoyed at that. So it took me a while. I might re-download that, but it's just, I don't know. And then Obey Me. I mean, I play Obey Me, and I still have Ensemble Stars on my phone, but I haven't opened it.
Yeah, I haven't touched Twisted Wonderland in well over a year, but it's still chilling on there.
I still have Twisted Wonderland on my phone as well. And I had a Japanese account for Twisted Wonderland too. And then they announced the English server, but I haven't played at all.
2 accounts is a lot to maintain.
I still like it. I still like the game. I like the characters and everything.
Yeah.
All these games. It's just, I don't have time to play all of them.
Like, a lot of really good characters, they get that curse, and it's like, why are you in a gacha game? Like, why is that where you have to be?
Yeah,
it makes you so sad.
Why is there no anime? Or if there is an anime, why is it kind of crappy? Like, I tried to watch the Ensemble Stars anime, and I could not get into it.
I watched that.
Too many boys. And also, I watched parts of the dub, and I was like, why did you dub this?
Oh, the dub is so funny. I got a kick out of it.
It just, I don't like when they don't, when they can't dub the songs, because I'm just like, okay, I can clearly tell that this is not you singing.
Yeah, that was
and it sounds
thing.
Totally different.
When they dubbed Love Live a long time ago, that was like a big controversial thing. Like people were, there's like half of them were like, yes, keep the music the same, and half of them were like, why are you dubbing it? And it was a big deal, and I feel like a lot of other shows kind of like took that precedent and just kept going with it, which, I mean, I understand that it kind of takes a lot to like reproduce a dubbed version of a song.
Yeah.
But it is a little jarring when it is like switching back and forth.
Well,
like
it's the same. I don't know if you've seen the Given dub, but like, I was surprised when they did not dub the songs for that. Because I'm like, I can clearly tell this is the Japanese singing one, and then like the voices don't match. Like the singing doesn't match the speaking voice, and it's very weird. Because I thought the casting was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I wouldn't have cast certain people in like certain roles. I'm not gonna say which ones, but for the most part, I liked the dub. I thought it was good. I'm just like, it's very. I don't like when I'm hearing Mafuyu speaking in English and then he's singing in Japanese, and I can clearly tell it's the Japanese voice actor singing, and he has a distinct singing voice that does not sound like Brandon McGinnis at all. And he did a cover of that song before he was cast. Yeah, so if you want to hear what it would sound like in English, you can go listen to this cover. But it's just not the same. I'm like, my thing is like, with something like that, I feel like they were not allowed to dub the songs, probably.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of copyright.
Yeah, which is probably the same with like Ensemble Stars.
Mm-hmm.
But also, yeah, I just didn't like the structure of the anime for Ensemble Stars. Like, I don't know. It was like too many boys at one time.
Yeah, I kind of was in the same boat. At a job after the pet store, I worked at a youth center, and there was a kid there, and she was huge into Ensemble Stars. So we watched it. I got paid to watch OnStars, and I still couldn't get into it. There's just so many people. It's kind of a lot to take in at once.
Yeah, I agree, Nah. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad we got to meet too. I'm used to seeing my boys every day. Yeah. I also love Nectar. I like Tears of Themis better. I think companies like Hoyoverse have learned from other companies like Paper Games who did Mr. Love. And like what not to do. But yeah, Twisted Wonderland. I play both versions.
Yeah.
It's not the best English anime dub, but it's still really funny.
It is. I got a kick out of it.
Yeah, the voice change thing, it just sounds weird. I don't know.
It is weird. I understand why they do it, but at the same time, it doesn't make it easier to get used to it.
Yeah, which is why I'm glad Utapri does not have a dub.
You know, I have thought a lot about who would play who, and
I can't do it. I can't think about it. I don't. Even if I was the director and I was fully confident, I don't know if I could cast.
Oh, that'd be so hard. It would be.
Because my thing is, like, I feel like I don't know how the casting went with the Japanese Seiyu, but I feel like these characters were like written specifically for the Seiyu.
Some of them,
or like they've kind of written them, like they've made their characters like changed to be written around them. Maybe they weren't specifically written for them; they just cast them and then like go from there.
Well, and the Seiyu and the voices, I think that's a lot of. It's a big part in why some people are attached to their favorite boy. You know, that's like a very personal thing, and I feel like if you dubbed it, that would be. I don't know if that'd go over great.
And then like I would be so petty, and I would like be judging so hard of like how they cast it and everything.
I would do the same thing.
This is wrong. Why did you cast this person as this character? They always play this character. I hate when they do that.
Yeah. And the dubbing scene is getting. Back in the olden days, it was like the same 5 people.
I know
that they were kind of shuffling through.
I know, it's like, oh my god, I really don't want to hear this person in like the next like 4 shows that I watch dubbed. Like, please stop.
Oh yeah,
I won't name any names, but there are certain people where I'm like, oh my god, this person's in this again.
Oh, it's you again.
Give
it a break.
It's annoying. And maybe it's because we understand the language, so it's like easier to like kind of get annoyed with, oh god, like this person again in English.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, and you know, dubbing in anime is by no means an easy feat, but
no, it's not. And I like dubs. I like them.
There's some lines that make me think, yeah, this was maybe not the best way to translate it, and like those just really stick out to me and kind of like pull me out of the whole experience.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's just and then my thing is, I'm like, I can't separate the voice from the characters.
Yeah.
Like their voices are their voices. If I heard someone else's voice coming out of there speaking English, I would be like, that is not Tokyo.
I think I'd be laughing too much to really hear what they're saying.
I would want to cry. I mean, I've seen some fan dub clips on YouTube that were actually like not that bad.
Oh yeah.
From, like years ago, like if you Google like a fan dub of Utapri, like you'll find little clips. That people, like, I guess they tried to do it or they did it as like a demo reel or something.
Sure.
And it doesn't sound that bad. Like maybe the mixing's not the best.
But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people that could pull it off, but it just kind of seems like
I would just want their voices to sound exactly the same. They just speak English.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes sense. Like the timbre and like the way their voices sound, like it has to sound the same. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I can't do it. Like even with certain dubs nowadays, like other shows that I watch, like if I don't really like, if I personally feel like, oh, that voice does not match the character, I don't want to watch dubs. Can't do it.
I agree, and there's some people that like their voice isn't. I'm like that attached to it, but then there's some characters like it's a make or break thing for some things.
Guys, I'm sure the Jujutsu Kaisen dub is good. But, like, I feel like some of the characters, I'm like, why do they sound like that? I don't like it.
You know, I really liked the Chainsaw Man dub.
I've only seen the sub, and I'm scared to watch it dubbed.
I liked the dub
because I feel like I'm going to, like, I'm going to be like, nah.
I feel like the characters in Chainsaw Man, I was a little more receptive just because, like, the nature of Chainsaw Man is different than something like Utapri. Does that make sense? It's like because it's more kind of based off of like, because I know like what Power was like inspired by Cartman from South Park. Yes.
So it's kind of like, yeah, okay, I get that. I totally get that. And now it's just
like Cartman.
Yeah, I want now. It's like, can I just be her dub voice? Like I can do a good Cartman voice, you guys. Like I would just want to hear her be Cartman.
I would pay money to hear that.
Yeah, I like someone. Maybe I should do this. It'd be like every time Power talks, except she sounds like Cartman.
The Cartman dubs.
Cartman dubs, you guys. Oh my god, I have to go get my cat, Meowie.
Oh my god, you killed Denji.
Please help me get my stupid fucking cat. I swear to God, Denji, like, I'll let you touch my boobs if you help me out.
See, that would be one of those things I'd be laughing too much. I wouldn't even hear what Cartman Power's saying.
Yeah, but, yeah, it's just, it's something that, like, you know, and I like dubs, okay? And I know that the actors put in 100%.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
When they do it. It's just sometimes I don't personally think, like, that voice matches the character. So it's like, I'm just too used to the way it sounds in Japanese.
Yeah, I think it's easier to watch a dub if I didn't see the sub first. It's easier then.
Or if it's a dub that, like, I have, like, nostalgia watching or something.
Yeah, like Durarara is one that comes to mind for me. Like I love the Durarara dub. I thought it was great.
Well, like I watched My Hero dubbed.
I did too when I was still watching it. I liked the dubbed.
I thought that was
very good.
I like the dub. I think the dub is really good. And I only watched the sub when like the dub hadn't come out yet. So like
yeah, same here.
But that's when we're like, I like both the sub and the dub. I think they're both equally good. And I've even heard some of the Spanish dub too. And it's
Oh, cool.
But yeah, let's see. Before we go on to the next thing, I'm from the era of dubbed over intros. Sometimes they hit, and sometimes well, do they ever miss? Yeah,
that's true.
They dubbed the songs. Well, I remember watching fucking Narima Daikon Brothers. I watched the dub for that, and they dubbed all the songs for that. And that show was great but maybe it worked because they were kind of like based off of like the Blues Brothers. And there was like a song every episode. But I liked that one. That one was cool. I liked that show. Okay. Changing topics, our main topic of today. That was a long intro, but you know what? Whatever. It's my podcast, which whatever I want.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about fan fiction, and we did discuss this briefly before. I am going to mention a new Utapri fanfic that we'll talk about later, but
it's a good one.
Oh wait, hold on. I see something that's carbon power. I know Japanese carbon in Japanese is just carbon's being Japanese. It's hilarious.
They're the same character.
Yeah, exactly. Fan fiction, yeah. So yeah, Annie has a PowerPoint. So here's the PowerPoint.
Let's go.
So let's go. I love this already. If you can dream it, you can do it. Is that like? That's a quote from like Blades of Glory.
Yes, I'm glad you caught that.
Okay. I was like, I really hope you're quoting Blades of Glory because I love that movie. It's so stupid.
Yeah, just you
can dream it, you can do it.
Little Orphan Awesome, you know. I had it.
Yeah,
it spoke to me, awesome. You know.
Oh my god! I want someone to draw the characters from Blades of Glory in like the Yuri on Ice style. I would watch that. I would watch a full anime remake.
Oh, I would kickstart that. I would donate my whole paycheck.
All right, fan fiction and you. I like that you used all three of them when they're like in showdown mode.
I wanted to make sure I included everyone at least once in this PowerPoint, and this was my catch-all if I didn't get them in a slide. So everyone gets a chance to shine because there's fan fiction about everybody, and I just thought that was fitting.
Oh, you were up until midnight? Oh my god, that's so cute.
I was like, you can kind of tell as it goes on my sleep deprivation, but yeah, we'll get there when we get there. So
right.
Fan fiction in you, if you can dream it, you can do it. And that's just something to keep in the back of your mind this whole time. So moving on here. What is fan fiction? You know, what the heck is fanfic?
I love this. That's awesome.
So I'm sure a lot of you know what fan fiction is, but Wikipedia tells us that fan fiction is a fictional writing written in an amateur capacity by fans, unauthorized by but based on an existing work of fiction. The author uses copyrighted character settings or other intellectual properties from the original creators as a basis for their writing. The length of fan fiction can change. Some people will do short stories. Some people will have novel-length works. And some people will add OCs. Some people will make alternate universes, all that good stuff. Common bases for fan fiction include novels, movies, musical groups, cartoons, anime, manga, and video games. So really, there's something for everyone. Cool, thanks. You're welcome, Starish. Now you know. So just
god. The novelist Tokina. Oh my god.
He knows what's up.
He does.
So fan fiction websites, that's kind of where you're going to get most of your fan fiction. Obviously, there needs to be a place for the fan fiction to be uploaded. And I think the three most popular ones right now would be Archive of Our Own, fanfiction.net, and Wattpad. Personally, I haven't ever used Wattpad myself, but I
haven't either, because all I know about Wattpad is like people that are like, I don't know, that were like 4 or 5 years younger than me read Wattpad stories, and they were all like One Direction stories. I'm like, yeah, I'm into that.
It feels like a younger fan base, for sure. On Wattpad.
I feel like fanfiction.net is like the golden oldie.
That's for old people.
Yeah, it's for old people
like me.
And then AO3 is like in the middle, and then you have Wattpad.
It kind of has Archive of Our Own kind of fits everybody, I feel. I got my start on fanfiction.net when I was 12, so I've been writing fanfiction for a long time. And all of these websites have their own personalities, and it's kind of fun. The feel is different on all of them too.
I've read and written fanfiction for Tumblr also before.
Yeah. And the bottom three on this screen I feel like they're a little older and not as common for fanfiction. Tumblr has a lot of fanfiction, like you just said. DeviantArt, not as many people used it for fanfiction, but it's on there. And LiveJournal is super old school. But there are Utapri threads on LiveJournal, so if you read everything on Archive of Our Own and you're just itching for more, then you can go. It's like a time capsule. It's crazy. LiveJournal, yeah, that was a time. Yeah, so for most of the presentation, I'm going to be talking about Archive of Our Own because that's just the one I use the most right now. And I kind of skimmed through all these websites, and Archive of Our Own has the most Utapri fan fiction on it.
As it should.
Yeah.
Only the best people get invited to.
Yeah, I remember getting my invitation, and it was like Christmas.
Yeah, I remember waiting for so long when I first joined, being like, please, I just want to post on email.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody with an invite code, so I just had to wait patiently to be like granted my Archive of Our Own account. And it was a joyous occasion when that happened. But yeah, there's websites I haven't even mentioned. But as far as Utapri goes, I think these will cover most of your bases. Utapri's not the biggest fandom ever, sadly. I wish it was, but this will get you covered if if this is your first foray into fan fiction.
Unless you write your own, then please post
it. Yeah. So we'll be talking about AO3 just to kind of keep it simple, but we'll add in things as we need as we go on. What are people writing about? Now, this is
I'm curious to see the statistics that you've pulled up.
I did a deep dive. But people write about anything you want. That is the beautiful part about fan fiction. Chances are, if you've thought about it, there is a fan fiction for it. You would not believe some of the things that people write about. So there truly is something for everybody, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
But how do I find what I want? Archive of Our Own has a great tagging and rating system, and I feel like that is why it is so popular.
Yeah.
Like on fanfiction.net, for the longest time, all it would let you do would sort it by kudos or reviews, sort it by hits, sort it by rating, and that was all that you could do, really. And a little later, they introduced like a character search, but you could search for 2 characters at a time, and that was as good as it got. There were no tags that you could search. You kind of just had to trust that writers would put it in the description or in the beginning. But it was like the Wild West of fan fiction. And LiveJournal was a little more organized because people would make a thread and make a journal. But that, again, wasn't super easy to search unless you knew who was writing or where to go. But Archive of Our Own really changed the game. And I definitely think that's why it's the website people use. This funny little square down here, this is just one of the many things that Archive of Our Own has to help you find different fan fiction. Mm-hmm. There's 4 different tiles, and the top left one is the content rating. This is one I pulled from an Utapri fanfiction. It's just so it's super authentic. But the top left square is the content rating.
It's rated G.
Rated G for general. That's kind of like a PG movie, the equivalent. Rated E for everyone game. Then there's like teen and up, which has, you know, a little more swearing, a little more raunchy stuff, but, you know, it's still pretty tame. Then there's mature fan fiction. Just to keep it safe for work, it gets a little more heated. And there's also explicit, which I think we all understand what explicit means.
You can kind of like understand what the explicit is.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of fan fiction is in that territory.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but you will see it's pretty popular. And then the top right square is the relationship tag. Archive of Our Own will let you sort through male-male relationships, male-female relationships, female-female relationships, and other for everything else that might not fall into that. And then there's also a general for that if you don't want to read something with romance in it. So that's pretty handy if you are in the mood for a certain thing. That kind of helps you find what you want to read that day. Then the bottom left with the exclamation point and the question, that's the content warning tile. I feel like that one is a pretty big one with Archive of Our Own.
Yeah, because you can your tags can be your like content warning, but also you can like click the box that says like, oh, this has like content that's maybe not suitable for everybody. Like it's not just the rating, you can go into like more detail.
Yeah. I think off the top of my head, I think there's 3 big ones. Yeah. One of them's major character death. So you can filter that out completely if you don't want to even see that stuff recommended. There is, I think one of them is like non-consensual. So if you don't want any of that, you can filter that out. And there's one more big one, and it is escaping me right now. But I feel like that encompasses some of the bigger...
I can't remember what the third one is either.
Those encompass like the bigger trigger warnings, and instead of like fine-tuning the tag search, you can just click that off completely, and you can kind of filter from there. So
I also love the reader insert and U tags as well.
Yes. Well, we'll talk about that. I promise you.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the completion status. That's just if you are looking for a longer fan fiction that is in progress. If you want to read something that's complete, that'll let you filter even more. I know there are fewer worse feelings than you find an amazing fan fiction and you're going through all the chapters and you're at the most recent one and you look and the last time it was updated was in like 2011 and you're like, ah! No, why did this happen?
Yeah, I have, they're not Utapri fanfics, but I have a few, I still get comments and they're like, I hope you finish this, and they're like, I'm so sorry.
I'm guilty of that too.
I'm sorry, everybody.
I'm sorry for who I am as a person.
Well, and then it's like, oh no, I have a new idea of a new fanfic that I want to write.
I know! There's so many ideas and so little time.
So maybe one day I will finish those other ones, but we'll see.
Yeah. You know, there's always time. Recently, I updated a fic I hadn't touched since last year, so that I have that going for me, which is great. But yeah, I know that some people, when you're reading, you just want to read a quick one-shot. You don't have that much time. Sometimes you want to get into a longer fan fiction, but you want to make sure that it's done before you make that time commitment. Yeah, so that's just another cool thing that Archive of Our Own. And fanfiction.net let you do that. I remember that. The other things, not so much. Like, you could sort by rating and if it was complete. But that was about as in-depth as it got. So Archive of Our Own has a great thing going. And if you go on the website, you can actually hover over the tiles and it will tell you more about each one in depth if you have any questions. So Yes. Thank you, Archive of Our Own, for giving the people what they wanted. Okay, that being said, what are people really writing about? Shipping! That is probably the
I
most...
love that you use this picture from like season 2. That's so funny.
I had to put it in there. I was Googling Utapri episode screenshots and that jumped at me. I was like, oh yeah, that's what we're here for. But yeah, a majority of fan fiction focuses on relationships. But keep in mind, you can write and read whatever you want. By all means, there are people that don't give a crap about shipping and they're writing stuff too. So if that's not your cup of tea, there's plenty of stuff. That's what's really fun about it. There's always going to be somebody that's interested in the same things you are with fan fiction. Maybe it's not the most mainstream thing, but even the weird, obscure, rare pairings I've written for, some people have still found it and commented on it. So I promise you that whatever your brain thinks up, somebody's going to like it. And they will be thanking you for supplying them with the good content.
Now hug.
Now hug.
Yeah, for that screenshot specifically.
He's going to try his best. You can do it.
I think he has to imagine that it's someone else, not Tokia.
I mean, I would be flustered too if I was hugging Tokia.
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest.
To be honest, I would be the same.
But yeah, the cool thing with Utapri is a lot of people ship like the boys with each other, but there are also a ton of people that ship them with Haruka. So there's, like I said, there's something for everybody. Yes. I see a lot of Haruka fans. Like there's a lot of really cute ones with Haruka and any boy. There's cute ones with whatever boy you want to see kissing another boy. And like we mentioned before, there's like the self-insert fanfiction too, which is pretty good if I do say so myself.
Which also, and that ties into the Yume culture thing. Like, about previously, like, if you want, you are a Yume stan and you have your specific boy, you can always write fan fiction about your relationship, and maybe it, obviously, if you're going to treat the relationship where it's not fictional, it's like, you live your life like that person's there, then of course it's not fan fiction, it's just a story that you're writing about you and your man.
Yeah.
And that's great. I want to read it, unless it's private. You don't want people to read it. You just want to,
that's okay
write it out yourself. You can always do that too.
You can write as much as you want, and if you don't want to share it, that is A-okay. That is perfectly fine. But I think the Utapri fandom as a whole is pretty accepting and welcoming of the self-ship culture. I know a lot of people that are either, casually into it or they're very serious about it. And it's very cool that there's, it's like a safe space for that. I feel like even if you're not into self-shipping yourself, people are pretty respectful. And I think that's pretty cool. Utapri is, I don't know, we all understand that it's about loving the boys and, you can do it whatever way you want. I just think that's very cool. I've written a lot of Utapri and reader fan fictions, but some of them I have posted anonymously because I was shy. But I wanted to show everybody, and so if you dig deep enough and you see by anonymous, I don't know, maybe I did that. Who is to say? And there's a little more to it than that. We'll touch on it in a few slides, but the reader insert thing I think it is thriving. There's a lot, but there can always be more, and fan fiction is a really good way to connect with that kind of the fandom. It's not to compare it to fan art or anything, but they're two very different mediums, and I feel like you can do different things with both. And there's some things you can do in fan fiction that don't translate to a picture, and there's some things with art that doesn't translate well to a fan fiction. So it's it's just another way to like really explore like the characters and the fandom and stuff like that. So
yeah.
And that's part of why I like it, because I feel like you can get a little more in depth with like inner monologue stuff and like different perspectives. It's just
I like it too because I also can't draw, so like I'm kind of limited with what I can do.
Yeah, that might be a little part of why I got so into writing.
Yeah, so it's like I gotta write. So I can't draw at all. So I'm not gonna try to think I can. I'd rather just write or.
Yeah, like I like drawing a lot too, but I feel like it's easier to share something I wrote than something I drew.
Yeah.
I just feel like this, like the confidence level is a little different. I mean, all like ways to do fandom stuff is really fun to me, but fan fiction, I just think it comes a little easier to me, and so that's what I like really focused on and leaned into. And I don't know, when you find a really good fan fiction, that scratches an itch that is like unlike anything else. I don't know. I just feel like when you find a story that you really like vibe with and love, it's very special that like some very specific like niches and tropes and stuff get explored, and it's just like, wow, you get me. I've never met you before, but you and I are like on the same brain wavelength, and that's just, I don't know, very cool. Oh, let's take a look at some more stats of what people are reading, shall we?
Ooh, okay, let's go.
So I did a deep dive on Archive of Our Own. I helped me along the way. We went through the 2,000 stories on Archive of Our Own, and we found another fic of your fave just for you. Eat up, everyone. Anyway. Here are some of the common things that people are writing about. So the most common rating of fanfiction is the general audience rating. There's a lot of, like I said, explicit, mature things, but the majority of Utapri fanfiction on Archive of Our Own was general. So that's pretty cool. It's,
I'm reading ahead, and oh my god.
Yeah, there's a lot that we have to discuss here, but I feel like that's very cool that it's like a very like age accessible thing. It's something that everybody can read and enjoy. There's a lot of people of all ages in Utapri, and it's nice to be able to write something that a big audience can like read and enjoy. And yeah, I don't know. That kind of surprised me, honestly, because recently I see, like, when I'm scrolling through the front page of the most recently stuff, there's kind of the higher ratings, but a lot of general stuff. The most common content warnings are no archive warnings apply. So most of those common triggers that the content thing encapsulates, that's not really prevalent in Utapri. Not to say that there isn't any, but most people are writing stuff that it doesn't apply to. And some people will like not mark it anyway because they just don't know what to categorize it as. But yeah, for food for thought, that's, people are kind of writing more, I don't want to say wholesome because a lot of stuff is not wholesome. But
I would say fluff, which you can see is like the top tag.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I think more people write more fluff than like anything else.
Yeah, I agree.
Probably with Utapri, it makes sense.
Yeah. So going on to the most common relationship category, that would be male-male relationships. Surprising. Of course. Are we surprised? I didn't write all of them on here, but the second most common was male-female, and I think a lot of those are probably like Haruka and the Princes, female reader and the boys, stuff like that. And there are actually quite a lot of female-female fan fiction listed on there.
Is it
There's like
Tomo
100
and
or so.
Haruka?
Yeah, Tomo and Haruka is a big one. A female reader in Haruka or Tomo. Those pop up. I read some very cute Haruka and Tomochika. I actually wrote one for somebody for a Secret Santa.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, so if you dig deep enough, maybe you will see my take at that. Top 5 character tags now.
This is so funny because like the top 5 characters that are listed here, those are like my top 5 favorite characters.
Yeah, I can see. Excuse me, I can see the appeal. Tokia by far had the most.
Oh, I would think that Tokia has like the most because he's like the most popular character.
Before I sorted it, I honestly thought it was either going to be Tokia or I. I feel like I is pretty popular too. But he wasn't even in the top 5. I was kind of surprised. He made all these sandwiches for us, and how are we repaying him? I don't know. Anyway, Tokia had the most, then followed by Ren, then Ranmaru, Otia, and Reiji. Those are our top 5 characters that we are writing about. Moving on to shipping, like I said, there's a lot of shipping fanfiction. And Tokia Otia, again, by and far was the most common pairing that people were writing about. Followed by Masato and Ren, and then Reiji and Ranmaru, Sho and Natsuki, and Sho and I was surprised to see Sho and I so high up.
That one is interesting to me because I'm like, that's not really a pairing that I would like think would be that.
Yeah, I feel like the Sho and I fics that I have read seem to be published way later or way earlier in the fandom timeline. It's kind of interesting because depending on like what year these fics were written, like the trends and stuff have changed.
Yeah.
I feel like the Starish ships were always pretty prevalent because
those are like
that's where it started.
Those first 2 ships, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So many people, and you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I've read a couple dojins of Tokia and Otoya.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a whole other thing is dojins, but hey, they're good. They're really good. Their relationship is cute when you ship them.
It is.
I know a lot of people. I know some people don't like when people ship the boys together, but like.
Oh yeah, I feel like that's a thing I see a lot on Twitter. The discussion between who ships what, and whatever you ship, that is. Up to you. If you like it, awesome. If you don't like it, that's also awesome. That's the magic of Archive of Our Own, is you can filter out all of this stuff if this isn't something that you want to see. I'm kind of in the boat where I don't know. I don't really care what people ship. I ship Tokia with everybody. I ship him with me. I ship him with Otia. Tokia Otia is kind of my soft spot. I really...
The dojins, the ones that I've read, like, there's a lot of spicy things going on in there, but also I'm just like, yeah, their relationship, like, what? Like, if this was their relationship for real, like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of fluffy ones.
Yeah.
And I think that's very cute. Yeah, it is very cute.
And then, like, Masato Ren, I feel like a lot of people that like that ship, they're more like feral. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like, those people are like, they will find a reason to bring it up in everything. Like,
they got that enemies to lovers.
Yeah, the Masato Ren shippers are like, those people kind of scare me. Just a little bit. I didn't really know Reiji Ranmaru was one.
I've read some of those too, but I feel like I've seen other Quartet Night pairings more than that.
I know Sho Natsuki makes sense to me because like.
I feel like the S-Class, A-Class ships, I feel like those are the top 3 that I see, like, fan art of and fan fiction of.
Na says Hayato Annie. I guess
I love Hayato.
They ship you and Hayato.
I ship me and Hayato. That's why Tokia is my favorite character, because I saw Hayato and I was like, oh my god, I love that guy. And then I'm like, holy shit, that's just Tokia acting completely different than he normally does, and I loved it. I love him. Bring Hayato back. Come on.
Yeah, guys, bring Hayato back.
We can have a little Hayato as a treat. Anyway. Yeah, so that's kind of the ship situation. In regards to the female-related ships, I think I didn't really dig super deep into every specific ship because there are so many. It's impossible to keep track of them all. But Haruka most often is paired with one of the boys, And there, like I said, there's a lot of Haruka and Tomochika fics too, which I think they're very cute. I understand that those two are not, like the focus of the show, but they have a pretty dedicated fan base, and it is very cute when they pop up. Yeah, I don't know.
It says, I wish Broccoli had made Hayato an actual twin.
That would have been so good. I think it's funny that they really hyped up the whole Tokia and Hayato thing when show with an actual real breathing twin is there. He
has a twin brother voiced by Yuki Kaji. What the fuck? Why the fuck did they not put him in the anime? I don't understand that.
It's just, I don't know. I feel like that was a very big part of his game routes.
And he goes, he's like a medical student. Like,
yeah,
that's important. That's interesting.
Well, and him and Sho, like, he, if I remember correctly, he wanted to become a doctor because of Sho's heart condition. Yeah, which is another thing that they don't talk about. Either. But, the fake twins are the ones that we'll focus on and give the screen time to. I'm not complaining, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like let Sho's brother come and let us see him. Yeah. And I get it. The anime is, they were cramming a lot into those.
They're limited on time. There's like a billion routes, whatever, but
yeah. He pops up in fanfiction too. I feel like he was a little more common in like the older fanfictions that I saw. But yeah, I mean, people ship the teachers, people there's a lot of Ringo
for everyone.
There's a lot of Ringo and I feel bad, I forgot his name.
Oh, Hugo?
Yes, him. Those two. They there's fan fictions for literally everybody. So take a gander if you feel inclined after this, and you will be surprised at what you find.
Yeah.
Moving on to the tags. Archive of Our Own is really good with the tagging system, like we've said. There's like the sub tags, I feel, other than like those main content warnings. Some people will like talk in the tags and kind of like give a little more description, but there's a lot of like tropes that people will say, if it's an AU or not. And the top 5 were fluff, which, yay! I love fluff. I live for fluff. I'd eat that stuff every single day. Established relationship is in second place, which I think is interesting. I know a lot of like the reader insert fan fiction is like based off an established relationship. I guess personally, I kind of like the build-up. That's what I like to read. But
yeah, I like reading the build-up. I feel like maybe more people do the established relationship tag because they just want to get to like the meat and potatoes of everything. I feel like
that's part of it. I'm a freak, and my favorite trope is unrequited love. I eat that shit up so good. Oh.
I love unrequited love.
I love it. Oh,
I don't like it when it happens to me in real life.
Exactly.
But I like writing about it, and I like reading about it, and I like watching it. Like
it's the yearning. It just
when it happens to you.
It does.
But
if it happens to this like pixelated boy on my screen, holy shit! Gosh. Let's go. Anyway,
I love it.
Enough about that outburst there. But angst is another really popular one. As we all know, people thrive on angst. Unrequited love is angst in itself. People like breakups. People like the fighting. They like the drama, and they like the making up at the end. That's all included. Romance is in fourth place, which I guess a lot of people don't necessarily tag things as romance specifically. I think that's kind of implied with like the whole shipping thing. Yeah. Like Archive of Our Own lets you list the characters involved and any relationships that appear, so you can search by both of those. But a lot of them aren't tagged as romance. I think that's kind of implied, but the explicitly tagged romance fanfictions are in fourth place. And then 5th place is PWP, which just a safe for work way to say is plot. What plot? There's not as much talking going on. There's not as much character. It's a lot of like actions.
I was just gonna say a lot of action going on.
I'll just leave it at that. Yeah,
they're not really talking too much. They're too busy doing other things.
Yeah, and if they're talking, it's a little raunchy. We'll just say that. But yeah, it's very common. It's very prevalent. The general rating thing will kind of tell you what you're expecting, but some people will write more explicit things with an actual plot. Some people just want to just jump right into it with no build-up, and that's fine too. But yeah, that's kind of what we will see with the Utapri tags. It's kind of a roundup of what people are into. Some of these things change over time. The most popular characters I feel are kind of established, but the different ships that people are writing about kind of shift around. Like in any kind of writing, there's trends with it. But Archive of Our Own has over 2,500 Utapri fan fictions right now. When I started writing and reading for Utapri, there were about 1,000, like maybe 1,200. So there have been a lot of things added in these past 5 years.
Probably because of Shining Live.
Yeah, Shining Live. So, I mean, that's what got me into it. So I am sure I'm not alone.
Thank you, Shining Live.
Thank you, Shining Live.
Thank you, Shining Live.
But yeah, there's new fan fictions like almost every single day. So if something you love hasn't showed up yet, just wait a little bit and maybe someone will write it. Or maybe you want to write it. On top of that, there are many, many, many AUs, crossovers. A lot of people will write fan fiction about like the Shining Live events. I know I've written some stuff about events. I wrote a lot about the animal, the animal set that came out because that was just too good to not do anything with, obviously. But yeah, a nice thing about Archive of Our Own is you can filter out crossovers. I know some people, the trend now is to like compile a lot of one-shots into one big fan fiction, and they take every fandom that they're writing for, and you go and click on it, and there's like one tiny Utapri prompt, and the rest is like Genshin and My Hero Academia, and it's like, okay, why is that here?
That's the one thing where like, if I'm looking for a specific kind of thing I want to read, I'll still click on those, but it's annoying because it's like, okay, I have to scroll through the chapters just to see who I want to like read about, and then it's like, oh, it tagged like a specific character, but I only see one entry for that character and like 5 for like a character from another thing that I don't watch.
I know, it's so frustrating. Like, I get why people do it. Sometimes things are too short to like make their own entry, but I don't know. It's not my jam. I remember back in the day, fanfiction.net has its own dedicated crossover pages. So unless you're like going out of your way to look for a crossover, those won't show up in the standard fandom page. So they separated those they separated them pretty well. And I think the shift, people used to like write legitimate crossovers where the characters were like interacting with each other. You know, a lot of people will like, oh, what if they were in Resident Evil? What if they were in Left 4 Dead? What if they were in...
I would say just think of like Super Hulock.
Yeah, like Rise of the Brave Tangled Guardians or whatever.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah, that shit too. Oh,
Super Hulock. But I think the trend now is to just put all their little one-shots into one thing and they tag every fandom that shows up. Sometimes I like those because they'll be like, oh, they're writing for Utapri and Hypnosis Microphone. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm vibing with that. But I don't know. So that's a nice thing. You can filter that out if you don't care. Most of the time I don't, but yeah. And I know we've talked about this, but there are plenty of, but not enough reader and character stories. Those are very fun. Archive of Our Own has a nice reader slash whoever tag that you can go crazy with. Those are very fun. Sometimes you get in a mood and you're like, I just want to put myself in this situation and get the fluff, get the lovin' that I'm craving, and it's a good time.
Oh yeah, you can spend hours doing that.
Yes.
Nowhere to look.
And I should have done this. I didn't really look at who was the most popular reader character ship, but I think they're all pretty equal. Some people get a little more love than others, but there's something for everybody. And if you don't think that there is enough, open up a Google Doc and let your brain go crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
So, kind of like vaguely tying into the self-ship reader insert.
Ask box. Oh, jeez.
Haruka, is your ask box open? I need to know. Anyway.
I love this screenshot. It's so funny.
We've talked about the traditional fan fiction, but what if you're looking for something a little more personal? This is a very Tumblr-centric thing, but some people will run ask blogs. Sometimes they call them imagine blogs, they call them scenario blogs, ask blogs, but it's where a writer will make a post saying, hey, I'm open for like scenario submissions. And you can go on Tumblr, send them an ask, and suggest some prompts that you would like to see the person write. Many people will say, oh, can you do like, oh, how would Tokia react if I stole all of his books and said, you don't get to read anymore until you cuddle me? Or what if Ren had a significant other who was super into the saxophone just like him? And there'll be like a lot of different scenarios that people will prompt. And some people will do this for self-ship purposes. Some people will do this for like character ships. And some people just want to like say something crazy and see what the author comes up with. A lot of the scenario blogs, they are shorter things. They're kind of like, back in the day, people called them blurbs. They're just like short things, and some people will make like a proper fan fiction length entry, and a lot of those end up on websites like Archive of Our Own or Fanfiction. Like when I was researching, there was like 2 or 3 like right on that front page, 2 or 3 people that were like, hey, this is just from my Tumblr blog and I put it on here so you guys can read it.
Yeah, I've seen it. Quite a few of those myself.
Yeah, there's one that I run. I started it a few years ago, and then I kind of forgot about it, and recently I started it up again just because it's so much fun. From like a writing perspective, I think it's cool because sometimes you get hit with that writer's block, and you don't really have a great idea of what you want to do. Sometimes you want to have something to warm up. Sometimes you want to explore something that like a character you wouldn't necessarily write unless someone asked you to. And it's pretty fun. Some people get a little crazy with their suggestions. I'll just leave it at that. But most of the time, it's something that a lot of people will enjoy reading. And there are a lot of Utapri like imagined scenario blogs.
I think I remember following. I don't use my Tumblr anymore.
I don't either, honestly. That's kind of sad.
As soon as they like changed all the rules or whatever, I'm just like, yeah, you know what? Screw this. I'm leaving.
Yeah, that was a sad time.
I did have an Utapri blog. It's still up. I can't remember what the hell was it called. I can't remember what it was called. But I did have an Utapri blog. It was mostly like me just reblogging like GIFs and stuff.
Sure.
But
Yeah. The one that I do is it's most people that like go there are looking for the self-ship, like the significant other insert things. And those are those I like to read too. I feel like the popularity of those has kind of gone down a little bit. I remember seeing like those posts in the tags all the time a few years ago. And now I feel like they're kind of fizzling out. I think Shining Light shutting down didn't help anything.
For sure.
But I think a lot of people are kind of leaning more into like those longer stories. But there, people still like send in asks and you still get prompts and stuff. And I think it's a lot of fun. If you're not really sure about writing fan fiction yourself, that's a good way to practice, I think. They're pretty short scenarios. You can just write a few sentences or a few bullet points and call it good. And people will be like, oh my God, you're the best person ever for answering this. And I don't know, I think it's fun. But yeah, especially with Utapri, a lot of people are looking for like that self-ship stuff. And that's kind of a good way to get content for that, that you don't have to necessarily make yourself. Other people are doing it, and it's, I don't know, and like click on a character tag and just scroll through and be like, oh yes, they would do that. It's fun. A lot of cool headcanons kind of come from it too. But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't have a ton more to say about it. It's pretty self-explanatory. So that kind of leads us into, wow, I loved a fic I read. How do I support my favorite authors? Your favorite author.
Oh my God.
You gotta tell them. Leave comments, give them DMs, let them know that you read their stuff. I touched on this a little bit earlier, that fan fiction and fan art are two pretty different mediums. And with fan art, someone will post that on Twitter or Tumblr or whatever, and you're scrolling on your timeline and it just shows up, it's right there and you're like, wow, I love that picture. That's beautiful. And it only takes a few seconds if you want to like stare at it. I know there's like some fan art that I stare at forever. You can do that too. But fan fiction is a little more of a time commitment to consume that kind of content. Some people, everyone reads at a different speed. So depending on what you do, that could be like a few minutes to be like hours or a few days that it takes to get through a bigger fan fiction. And so I think that turns some people off from it. Not everybody reads for a hobby, and that's fine. That's not everybody's jam. But fan fiction is a time commitment, and just as much love and effort is going into fan fiction as much as it is with fan art. And I just think because of the nature of these two different forms, artists will hear a little bit more feedback. It's easier to just like and retweet a picture versus sitting down and reading a fan fiction. Like if you're on your break at work, I like to read on my breaks,
Yeah.
but just like going about your day, scrolling Twitter, the fan art, that's just, oh, there it is. It's right there. They're putting it in my face. And Twitter doesn't really encourage like the longer posts like that. People will link to their fan fiction, but then you got to click on it and you got to be like, okay, I'm going to read this. So I don't know. They're just two very different mediums. It's nobody's fault. It's not like one is better than the other or anything. They're just different. And so just like fan artists and stuff, like authors really, really thrive on feedback.
Oh yeah, I love hearing when people tell me like, "Oh my God, what you wrote made me cry."
Yeah, it's such a cool feeling.
Like, it's not fan fiction, but so if you guys don't know, I think I've mentioned it before, but I have a creative writing degree, so like that's my bachelor's, baby.
Woohoo!
So, you take creative writing classes, and your classes are normally you write something, you print it out, hand it out to everyone in the class. They go home and read it. They make their own comments. You get all the comments and feedback back. You have a discussion about it. And then you write again. You like do another draft. So I remember one time in one of my classes, I wrote a really like sad like short story about like this lady who like dies in a fire because and like her husband could only save like their newborn baby.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. I wrote that, and I remember like it was the day that like we had class, and like we were going to talk about my story, and I remember like one of my classmates like coming up to me being like, "You made me cry on the bus. I didn't know I was
No.
going to cry while reading this on the bus," and I was like, "I'm sorry." Like I didn't even think anyone was going to cry. But I felt really good. Like,
yeah, that's cool when you
I
can
was
make
like, oh
somebody
my god,
feel
I
that.
got an emotional reaction from somebody who
Yeah,
like really liked, or they felt something because of what I wrote. And
and
like,
that's not
yeah,
always easy to do.
yeah, and like I've gotten comment, I've written fan fiction too, and like, I still sometimes when I get kudos and I get the email that says someone left kudos on my, on something I wrote, I feel good. I'm like, oh, that's so nice that someone did that. Or when they write a comment, especially, I feel
Oh,
really
yes.
nice. Or I feel really bad because it's a fan fiction I haven't finished and I haven't touched in years. And I feel
Yeah,
really bad because I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know if I can finish it.
I know, like your interests kind of ebb and flow like that. But I know that I have gotten back to writing some older projects because somebody left a comment way down the line. They're like, "Oh, I want to know what happens next. I love this." And sometimes just like getting comments like that is enough motivation to like push you forward to like continue and like make more. Um, I know that's not like the only reason that people write, but it's nice to like be acknowledged, like I wrote something, like I created this, and just seeing that, oh, somebody read it and they liked it. That's just amazing. It's even if it's as simple as like I loved this, like that's enough to make me smile. Um and on the flip side, I feel like people have kind of moved on past like flaming and stuff, but that was like a super huge part of the old fanfiction.net days. People were just mean for the sake of being mean. Uh, but I remember
Yeah.
when I was younger, I was about 12 when I started writing. Somebody I was writing for Total Drama Island, so this isn't like Utapri related. Um, but they wrote, it was like 6 or 7 paragraphs, and it was a story of this guy driving this big truck, and he pulls up to a watermelon and he shoots it with a gun and just makes the watermelon explode everywhere. And at the end he's like, "This is how I felt reading your story." And like little 12-year-old me was like, "What the hell?"
I mean, that's a pretty big reaction.
It was honestly so funny. I didn't feel bad that they hated
I
it.
mean, it's the whole My Immortal thing of like, stop flaming my story, press.
Yes, it was just, and people would like, even if you wrote something perfectly fine, they would just be like, "I hate this character. I hate you for writing it." And it's like,
Well, the thing
okay,
is like, then why did you click on it and read it?
I don't know. Some people, I mean, I am guilty of like
Hate
arguing
reading.
with people on the internet, but I feel like going on someone's fan fiction and being like, "You suck," is kind of, I don't know, that's not cool.
I mean, see, that's the whole thing. Is like, I feel like like I always come at it as like a constructive thing because
Exactly.
like, and maybe it's because I've taken creative writing classes. Like I did it one, it was for a grade, but also so I could get my degree in it. But
Yeah.
you kind of learn not to like be mean about it. You have to be
Yeah.
constructive and like you want the person to improve upon it, because if you actually like what they wrote and maybe you just think they could do something a little bit better, like just saying
Exactly.
like, I think this works better, or I was confused about this part, is much
Yeah.
better than saying like, wow, you suck,
Yeah.
this was total dog shit, unless it's like satire or something, of course.
Yeah.
But
If you're
I mean,
like
because
getting that reaction.
I remember there was a girl in one of my she was like in my intro class, and she
Mm-hmm.
was one of those girls that's like, oh, I'm writing a novel, and like, she, I don't know where this girl is now. I hope you wrote your novel, but the part, in class, I was never like rude about it. I never said like, yeah, I thought this sucked, even though I kind of didn't like it. I did think it was kind of like dumb.
Yeah. There's like a
But I
time
never,
and a place.
yeah, but I never said it like that. I would just say like, I'm really confused as to, like, what's going on here. Or I
Yeah.
would say like, why is the character talking this way? It sounds like he's talking to himself and not someone else.
Yeah. If you just say it's bad, that doesn't like tell
Yeah,
you how
like,
to make it better.
And like, this girl's writing was not that great. I mean, to be honest,
oh no,
like,
there's a lot of like in any like English degree that happens.
And like it was an intro class too, so that's a class that anybody can take, not just a creative writing major. But I have a feeling this girl was a creative writing major because she's talking about like, oh, I'm gonna write a novel, and like, pretty sure some of the stuff that she like wrote for class was like chapters or like parts of chapters from her novel.
Yeah,
and some of it did not make any goddamn sense to me. Didn't say it like that. I was just like, I would just say like, why is it like this? What is the point of this? Like. But I, like, obviously I was never going to, like, go up to this girl and say to her face, like, why the fuck did you write this? This is fucking terrible.
Yeah. And, I don't know, like, if you can, like, criticize things and be nice about it.
Yeah, it's constructive criticism. That's what they teach you. Yep. So I would tell anybody, if you're going to give criticism to even fan fiction, because a lot of fan fiction, hell, guys, a lot of novels nowadays, they start off as fan fiction.
Yeah, that's a thing.
They just change the names. Is a thing. I mean, they make them into movies now too. There's that Wattpad Harry Styles story or whatever that got turned into a movie. That's
so funny to me that's
it's fucking hilarious. That movie looked like shit, but you know what? That person is making a lot of money because someone
they had a dream and they went with it.
They dreamt it and they did it. Same thing. It's the same thing with like 50 Shades of Grey. Like that was Twilight fiction.
That definitely was Twilight.
And I mean that author makes hella cash. So
yep, she's got more money than me.
She's doing real good for herself, writing fucking Twilight fan fiction. So
I feel like the reviewing and the commenting culture has kind of changed over the years too, because I remember being younger, people would like go out of their way. They'd be like, hey, I'm dropping this constructive criticism for you. Here's what I thought. And I don't see that happening as much anymore because I feel like some people might consider it rude if it's unwarranted. But I feel like, you're not going to get better if you don't hear about the things that you can improve on. Yeah,
exactly. So,
yeah, and like for some people, like writing fan fiction is like writing practice, and this is kind of how they get.
That's how I used to do it when I was still in school.
Yeah,
I would never like put in like fan fiction for assignments because I'm like, I don't think anyone's going to understand.
Yeah, like, that's the thing with fan fiction.
Personally, I mean, you can do that. Like again, I've seen people do that. I've had someone who wrote like fan fiction for like Super Smash Brothers, and they put that as an assignment, and like I had to read it, and like I knew what it was about. Cause, like, oh yeah, I recognize the character. Okay, and I still gave the dude like constructive criticism. But yeah, no, when I would do like my assignments, I would try to make it like more original.
Yeah, I would do that too.
However, when it came to poetry assignments, that I would kind of like use things that I like or characters as like the basis because I'm like, well, it's poetry. Like, no one's gonna know like really like if I don't say exactly what it's about. Obviously, they're not gonna tell.
I hated poetry classes.
Poetry writing is really hard.
It's so hard.
It's really hard, and it's not for everybody. I never have thought of myself as a poet, but neither. I mean, poems are not always like rhyming and stuff. It's not all Shakespeare and iambic pentameter. It's not that. Like
it's a whole world of its own.
Poetry is a whole thing in itself, and you can write poetry. You can do it. I didn't used to like writing it, and as I took more poetry classes or classes focused more on that, I even took a translation class where we would translate poems from Spanish into English.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was really hard, but I learned a lot, and I feel like if you just practice, and again, writing fan fiction is good practice for writing. Was just for writing
practice.
Your writing style. So I need to get back into it because again, like I got my damn degree in it. Like I feel like I should be doing something. As Uncle Rico says, you might as well do something while you're doing nothing.
Might as well.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's your lesson from me.
Yeah. I forgot to mention this earlier, but there's a sister site to fanfiction.net called Fiction Press. And it's like the same layout and everything, but that's for like original writing and poetry, which I think is pretty cool. So that's another way to practice and get like feedback on your stuff. And I think this is kind of a harsh reality for some people to accept, but in terms of writing, if you're writing fan fiction, you're going to get way more feedback than if you're writing original stuff on the internet. And that's just because, you have like a pre-built audience that you're catering to. So that's another reason why it's good practice. You're just going to get more eyes on your work if it's attached to a fandom or a show or something. But yeah, there's writing options for, even if you want to step away from fan fiction and try something original. I've been on there. It is not as hip a happening place as fanfiction.net, but that's just the reality of it. But if you're not somebody that really leaves feedback on stuff, if you're not really one to like critique stuff or think about it that way, there's other ways that you can support it too that doesn't involve, comments. You can leave kudos on Archive of Our Own. You can leave likes, upvotes. That's like a Reddit thing. I don't know why I put it there. Favorites, bookmarks, all that stuff. Those also go a really long way to letting an author know that you liked their work. And a lot of people will link like their social media websites. That's a good way to connect with authors that you like. And, retweeting, reblogging, sharing with your buddies. I know that I have subjected my friends to a lot of fan fiction about shit that they do not care less about. But it's fun, there's a lot of stories that I'm like, I need to share this with people. I need to let people know I love it. It's not enough that I let the author know I love it. Everyone needs to know. So that's a good way to do it too. What do we have next? How can I get involved? You and your awesome ideas. Your awesome, cool readers waiting for food. The biggest writing advice for everybody is just start writing. Just do it. I thought about putting Shia LaBeouf in here, but he clashed with the aesthetics, so I don't want to think. I don't think he fits with the Utapri aesthetic. If they dropped Shia LaBeouf in the Utapri world, I think his head would explode. I don't think he'd be able to handle it. But yeah, you don't, by any means, you do not have to be an amazing writer to do fan fiction. You don't have to, you don't have to be going to school for writing. You don't have to want to pursue writing as a career. It's something that you can just do 100% for fun. And don't be worried about not being great. Many people are amazing right when they started off. I read some of my old fan fiction and I was like, what the hell? What is that? Steaming pile of garbage. But you don't get better if you don't practice and like make those mistakes. And it's kind of funny to go back and laugh at your younger self, but I digress. Just make an account. If you want to post it on Archive of Our Own, you might have to wait a little bit because it's still in its beta and it's like an invite system. It was a while ago I got my account, so it might have changed by now. But make accounts on stuff, share your work with your friends. If there's a Discord server you're in, you can be like, hey, does anyone want to read my fan fiction? Just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You're not going to get, nothing's going to start if you don't take that first step and like create it and share it with people. It's kind of scary at first, I will admit. When I started, I kind of had the young kid optimism, like, yeah, I'm the best. I'm going to do this and blah, blah, blah. But, not everybody's like that, and that's okay. For some people, writing's kind of a personal thing. And especially some of the topics that people write about with Utapri, you know, like a self-ship thing, a reader insert. A lot of that kind of is like an extension of yourself in a way. Even writing that's not like that is kind of a little part of you that you're sharing. And sometimes that's scary if you've never done it before. But most people are extremely kind. You know, people aren't really. I feel like the fan fiction, it's not like a tiny little close knit community, but I feel like it's not the biggest part of a fandom. You know, for some fandoms, it might be, but with Utapri, I think you know, like the fan artists and just like interacting with people on social media is a little bit bigger, like playing the games. But everybody I've met in the Utapri fanfiction community is super nice. So I don't think that you guys have anything to worry about if that's something that you want to do if you're nervous. But if you are kind of shy, poking my fingers together, I'm a little shy. Archive of Our Own lets you post works anonymously. I touched on that a little bit. I was like, wow, I wrote like this Tokyo Reader thing, and I don't know, for some reason I'm mortified if people are like, wow, that's you. But I wanted to share it, so I just clicked anonymous, and bam, people perceived my work, but they didn't perceive me, which was the ultimate goal. But like I said, you know, I don't know. Sometimes you just get in your own head, but there's ways that you can do this without like bringing enough attention to yourself. Archive of Our Own lets you make pseudonyms too. So if you want to like make a specific profile for your Utapri writing and keep it separate from like your other fandoms, you can do that too. The other fanfiction websites don't let you do that. So if you want to like keep things neat, if you want to like have a certain image in one fandom versus another, that's a really good option for people looking at that. And like just reading fan fiction too, it might be a little daunting at first. I know I've read a lot of fan fiction, but I don't think I've even like scratched the surface of everything that Utapri has to offer, because like 2,000 fan fictions is a lot. And some of them are pretty long. There's a lot of people that like they put their whole heart and soul into it, and it's very cool, but it's also like 100,000 words, and I'm like, that might be a little much for me right now. But yeah, it might be a little daunting scrolling through stuff, but Archive of Our Own does a really good job of letting you sort things out, you know, find something that is interesting to you. And if I'm going to be honest, sometimes I'll like go and read things from like fandoms that I'm not even in, because there's like an author I liked so much I just wanted to read something new.
Yeah.
So like I've read a lot of like Genshin Impact fan fiction. I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are. But I don't know, I'm just here for the ride. I'm having fun. It's kind of funny how that works out. But yeah, I know on Twitter some people will make like a fan fiction Twitter and they'll share their stuff there. Some people will like share it on Tumblr, and you have like a Tumblr thing, but I don't know. There's like a bunch of different ways to do it. So whatever you're comfortable with, that's what you should stick with. And Archive of Our Own, it has like a function where you can import fan fiction from other websites. Fanfiction.net did not like that, and they got kind of mad at them. That was the whole thing. But you can like post stuff on different websites, and no one's gonna get mad at you for doing that. People will be like, "Yeah, there's more stuff to read, woohoo!" So, yeah. Some websites are like a little better to search than others. Some are a little more search friendly, but Archive of Our Own treats you pretty well in that regard. So, yeah, it's not too crazy. It looks like a lot of words, but I promise you it's okay. Kind of leading into how do I get involved, there's a lot of events that people can do with fanfiction too. One of the bigger ones is called a flashbang, and at one point I know where that originated from, but I have since forgotten. But that's basically like a big collaboration effort between artists and fan fiction writers. I helped organize one or two. No, we did two of them. We did like an Utapri flashbang, and some of us decided that we would like make a Google Doc, and artists and writers would go on the document and say, hey, I'm an artist or I'm a writer and I like these ships. You know, this is what I want to write or draw for. And we would like pair them up with each other. And so they'd collaborate and they'd make a piece of art that relates to the fan fiction.
Like a scene or something.
Yeah, it was like an illustration, basically, that would be included. And that was really fun. It was a cool way to meet a lot of new people. I know that I participated in the first one that we organized, and that was really fun. By the time the second one happened, that was like a little too much work for me to do like the organizing and the writing at the same time. But it was super fun. I would like to do something like that again. But sometimes it's kind of tricky to like gauge interest in who wants to participate, because you need more than one person to like do this event. But maybe that is something that we could revive in the future. It was very fun. And Archive of Our Own lets you like insert images into your fan fiction. So it's pretty cool that you don't have to like click on a different link to like see it or like rely on seeing it on Twitter. It's like right there in the piece. It's like a storybook, like a picture book. It's very cool. Oh man, now that I'm looking at this slide, there's a really big one I forgot to put on there, but I'll talk about it. Anyway, moving on, Secret Santas are very fun too. I think we all know what a Secret Santa is, but again, that's a thing. Everybody will submit a Google Doc or something like, hi, I'm so-and-so. I am a writer. I am an artist. I like these ships. I like these characters. I don't like this stuff. It's very important to be like, don't get me this for Christmas. I will cry. That's very important. But then it's usually they start those at the beginning of December. You get the whole month to work on, you get partnered up with someone. You're not supposed to tell them who you are because then it's not a secret. So it's very hush hush. You get the month of December or whatever to work on your fan fiction or your art. And then usually the week leading up to Christmas, they're like, okay, you can post your thing and tag your Secret Santa. Or post it in the Discord channel or post it on Twitter. And it's very fun because you get to make somebody very happy with a little gift and you get something in return. It's very cool.
Yeah, well, you can also label it on AO3 that it's a gift for someone.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
With the flashbang, we made a collection and all the people that participated were listed in this collection. And so you could go read every single one of them, and it was very cool. And Secret Santa tags are important too, because that's a good way to keep everything organized. If you're oh, I want to see what the other people did, and it's kind of fun to see the chain. Hey, I made this present for this person. Well, I want to see what they gave their Secret Santa. I want to see what they gave them, and over and over again. And I know that some fandoms they will do something called a summer splash. I've seen it called, where it's a Secret Santa thing, but in June or July.
Right, so they do a sub. Yeah, so it takes place in the summer. It's on the beach, stuff like that.
Yeah,
they stick to a theme.
Yeah, and Secret Santa, it by no means it doesn't have to be Christmas related, but it's kind of fun when it is. It's a cool little
lots of fluff.
Yeah, the Utapri Secret Santa I did. I wrote a Haruka Tomochika fic, which I thought was fun. And they were like, oh, I want it to be these two, but my favorite characters are Ai and Ochiya. And so I had them have a little cameo, they showed up. And it's just fun to see what elements they want and how many of them you can incorporate. It's kind of a fun challenge. And in return, somebody wrote me a Tokia and Ren fan fiction. And I was like, yes. I feel that's one of those weird ships where a lot of people like it, but you don't see a ton for it.
I know. I like that shit, but I also want them to fight over me specifically. Like,
I
want them to fight each
understand.
other. I want them to fight each other, and I want it to be about me.
Yes, I am right there
So-
with you. I want them to have a duet with each other so bad.
I
Ugh.
brought this up on the podcast several times.
I was listening to older episodes and I was like, yes, you should say it. Not more people need a campaign for this.
I want a Ren Tokia duet. Damn it. I want one so bad because their voices would sound so good together.
So
in
good.
A duet.
I feel
my
like
God.
we're being robbed. Like they had their little part together in was it Revolutions?
Revolutions.
And like Revolutions is fine, but I want a Tokia.
I want a better song.
Like they were in Joker Trap together, and I don't think they had duets in that. I could be wrong. I don't think they had like the lines together. They were in Lycris no Mori together, and they did. There was like so many times they were close.
I know. The only
I love Joker Trap.
I was gonna say the only time they're fighting over me is when I commission spicy artwork from someone.
Maybe you could find someone to commission like a spicy fanfiction.
Oh my god! I would love to have someone write it for me so bad.
You know, people do fan fiction commissions, but I feel like those are a little harder to find people that will do that. I've done a couple, but I feel like that's kind of tricky because there's like a lot of emotions and layers to it, and you're like, I don't want to screw it up.
I agree, Maya. Don't forget Star Wish. That was hot. Yeah, that song's good.
Oh, yes! Star Wish is good. Man, that song's a bop.
Yeah, that song's such a banger. I like... Ugh. Yeah, we need a Tokyo Ren duet. Broccoli, Elements Garden, if y'all people are fucking listening, I don't know if you speak English that well, but please, Tokyo Ren duet. That's
Broccoli, I will give you all of my money.
Yeah.
It's not very much, but I'll give it to you.
I want a song so that way in the future, if they perform it live, I can watch Baba and Swabit perform together in a duet. I would die. Oh my god, that would be so amazing.
You know, now that I think about it, you know when Natsuki and Tokia did Still, Still, Still?
I love that song.
I feel like that song is so underrated. Like, those two sound beautiful together.
Oh yeah, they sound so good together. Those two, they got a duet because they sound really good together.
They do. Oh, so I love that song.
Why the fuck is
Tokyo? I think they don't think that we're ready for it. I don't think that they think we can handle something like that.
Okay, well,
I don't know. They should prove us wrong. They should they should do it anyway.
Broccoli, some of us are 30 years old almost. I can handle it as a grown ass woman. Okay, my ovaries can handle it. All right.
Yeah, they're growing up too with us. I think that we have all been waiting patiently, and we deserve it.
That's all I want.
But yeah, so somebody wrote me a Ren and Tokyo fanfiction, and I was like, I'm crying. And it was somebody I was like friends with, and they were like, it was so hard to keep this a secret from you. Like, it was so hard not telling you. And I was like, oh, I cannot say thank you enough. But yeah. Secret Santas are great. I try to do one every year. It's not always like the same fandom, but I was thinking about if no one else is going to organize one this year, I kind of want to give it a shot. I've never organized a Secret Santa before, but I know how to do it. So maybe a little closer to Christmas, I will plant the seeds and see if anybody would like to join in. I don't know. It's just fun and festive to do. Another event that kind of happens in that general time frame is National Novel Writing Month, which is NaNoWriMo. The gist of that is you have 30 days to write a full novel. I think the goal is 50,000 words.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is, like a standard novel length. And you have the planning, the rough draft, the editing. Your goal is to get that all done in November. And I think that averages out to like 2,000 words, wait, that doesn't sound right. No, I don't know. I'm bad at math. I'm not a math major. But you want to
I never was either. That's why I picked liberal arts. Don't have to take math.
That's why I'm writing, man.
For math.
College math was the bane of my existence.
The college math I had to take was like, it's just like algebra all over again, so it was okay.
Yeah.
It had letters in it.
I struggled. I was like, this is not, I don't want to be paying for this. I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah.
But anyway, National Novel Writing Month is, usually people will do like their own like original work, but you can use that as an opportunity to work on like a longer fan fiction, like if you want to do like a multi-chapter work. That's a challenge that you can do too. That's kind of a self-imposed challenge more than anything, but last year was the first time I gave it a real try with like my own original thing, and it's a really good way to like dedicate a chunk of like time to just work on writing. And if you want to do that with fan fiction, that's a great time. It doesn't necessarily even have to be in November. You can like, set this for any time it works for you. But that's a cool idea that you can try. Kinktober is on there. Again, I want to try to keep this like safe for work because I'm not sure how old everyone is listening to this, but that is generally a prompt list of the spicy variety. And
you can swear all you want in this podcast. I don't care. But we want to keep it, PG.
Keep it a little, yeah. But I put that there because that's like the most common one that I see in like fan fiction communities. The gist is someone will post a list, 31 prompts. Your goal is to write one each day. Most people will do like drabbles or like short things because, if you're doing it every single day, that's kind of a time crunch. But other people will do different themes for October. Some people will do like a fluff prompt list and they'll call it Flufftober. Or some people will do like Angsttober and they have like a different sad thing that you write every day. It stems from Inktober, which is, the drawing prompt every day in October. But those are super popular. I see those all the time. And I like reading all the different ones, the angst ones I get a kick out of because I just like being in pain, I guess. And you get a new thing to be said about every day. But yeah, that's not something that you strictly have to do in October. Looking at those prompt lists are a good way to like, with writer's block, if you want some inspiration, if you just want to challenge yourself. And I promise you, no one's going to complain if you do a lot of fan fiction just at a random month that's not October. No one's going to get mad at you for not doing that. They're going to be happy that there's more content to read. So, yeah. That's kind of like the same thing as prompt challenges, I guess. Those were very popular back in the live journal days when people would make a prompt page and then everyone could comment their own little thread. And it was a cool way to see how a bunch of different people like fulfilled a certain prompt. I remember popular ones were like, there was like a rainbow challenge where there were 7 colors and each of them had prompts that kind of related to that color. Some people
that's perfect for Starish.
Exactly. You get one for each boy. And, there's a lot of other prompts. It's kind of the same thing as like the Kinktober thing. It's just like, I don't care what month you do it. Just put it up. Those are very fun. I don't see like as many events based around those as you used to, but if you like Google search for like 5 minutes, you can find a whole lot of prompt challenges that will fit, what you want to write. And it's fun to kind of see how other people answer those prompts too. And also, perhaps you would like to make an ask blog of your own. Those are, like I said, we talked a lot about that already, but that was a fun way to write. It's a fun way to get involved with people. It's a fun way to be like interactive with other fans. Because that's kind of like a collaborative work on its own, you know. And another thing you can do is being someone's beta reader.
I do beta reading for one of my friends.
It's fun. I force one of my friends to be my beta reader.
Like we're in turn, like me and my friend were each other's beta readers.
Yeah. Fanfiction.net used to have like a beta reader profile that you could fill out, and you would be like, hey, I'll read this stuff. I like this kind of stuff. If you want to send your work to me, I'll beta read it for you. And that was like that's something that Archive of Our Own doesn't have, that I kind of wish they did. It was like a way, like if you didn't necessarily have friends in a fandom, it was a good way to find people to help you with that kind of thing. And I really liked beta reading too, because I don't know, I just like reading, and it was nice to like practice like critiquing skills and like editing skills and stuff like that. But nowadays, you know, just, hey, ask your friend, like, hey, do you want to read this fan fiction? This isn't a question. I'm going to make you read it. Tell me what you think. There's like Discord servers that you can join for this. This is, you can find people on Archive of Our Own, you know, shoot them a message and be like, hey, do you want to, I wrote this thing you might like. Do you want to give it a read? And they'll be like, yeah, or they'll be like, no, thanks. And, you know, it's not terribly difficult to find somebody that would like to help you out, and that's something you can do in return too. A lot of people don't go the beta reader route, and that's fine too, because, you know, fan fiction isn't like a serious novel that you need to polish before you send it out. But it is nice, you know, like I said, it's nice to get that feedback and see, you know how like when you write something, sometimes you'll like spell a word correct, but it's not the right word. And it's like, since your brain put it there, you don't catch that mistake.
Yeah.
That happens to me all the time. But if you just get like another pair of eyes on it, they can catch little things that you're just overlooking because you've been staring at this fan fiction for an hour. Just like, ugh. So that's pretty cool. It's not necessary. No one's going to get mad at you if you don't do it. But in terms of practicing, that's a pretty effective method of doing that. So leading into that, someone told me fanfic isn't real writing. Frown. Starish didn't like hearing that.
Oh my god, yeah, I love that screenshot.
They're like, oh, how dare you. First and foremost, fanfiction is for fun. You know, it's supposed to be fun. It's not serious business. I mean, yes, people
you can change it to be called fun fiction if you want.
Should be fun fiction. You know, people have gotten their fan fiction like adjusted and names changed, and it does become a proper novel. But the reality of the situation is that that's not the norm. You know, that's not what most people do. So it's just, you know, it's a hobby. It's a passion project, but it's not, you know, it's not like a life or death situation. You know, it's not the end. It's not the most important thing ever. So we don't have to take it super, super, super seriously. If you want to take it seriously, that's great. But not everybody is going to be like, this is my magnum opus. This is my life's work. This is the best thing ever. It's just for fun, you know? So as long as you're having fun, don't worry about what the haters say. I'll just, you know, say that. I know that there was somebody that I was like, hey, I wrote this fan fiction. Would you read it? And they're like, don't you think that's a waste of time? I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, shouldn't you be working on your own fiction, like your own original ideas? And I'm like, you know, that's writing like your own original work and writing fan fiction are two very different things, in my opinion, you know?
Yeah.
Like, fan fiction, it's like established characters that other people already know. So you can like focus on different elements than if I was building a whole new world of my own and developing that. I feel like it's two different skill sets.
Well, you have to take extra steps if it's an original work, because you're the one who's in charge of it and how you're creating it. But it still has to make sense to someone who is reading it for the first time.
Exactly.
Whereas if it's fan fiction, established characters, if I'm going to read a Tokia fanfic, then I already know what the character is like.
Yes, exactly.
So if the character is out of character, then of course I'm going to say something, but I'm going to feel a certain way. But yeah.
You can like focus on different like skill sets, you know? You don't have to spend the time explaining who Tokia is and what his like goals are. Like, we know Tokia. So that kind of leaves you room to like work on like your prose or like your setting skills or your pacing or like chapters, vocabulary. You know, you can focus on those little things that if you were writing like your own original work, you might be focusing on that more. And so it's just like a nice way to get practice in, I think. You can focus on different things. And one of the biggest writing advice tips that I've received that I feel was like the most effective for me is that if you want to get better at writing, you need to read a lot as well. It might, I don't know, you might not make that connection like, oh, well, if you want to write better, you should be writing, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's true, but you also learn a ton reading.
I've always believed that in order to be a good writer, you have to be a reader first.
I agree 100%.
So, like, you know, you're never going to learn, like you said, you're never going to learn what works and what doesn't if you don't read.
Yes, exactly. I think you learn a lot of what not to do and what you don't like reading as much as you learn what you do like and what you should be doing. Like, there have been like novels that I have bought at a bookstore and I'm reading it. I'm like, how the hell did this get published? Like, like some people, I don't know, some things are not amazing when you read it. And you can learn what not to do. You can learn stuff that you don't like, you know? You can learn like, oh, I didn't like how they did this character. I didn't like how they paced this scene. I didn't like this plot point. And it's kind of like a passive skill, I guess. You're not always aware that you're like learning these things because you're kind of focused on like, wow, that was terrible. But on the other side of like that same coin, you could be reading a book and you're like, I loved how they wrote this character. I loved the pacing for this. I loved this plot twist. And to an extent, you can learn these things from reading fan fiction too. I know that I kind of notice people will like follow the same writing trends. I feel like people will kind of like borrow terminology from each other. People will borrow like synonyms for a specific thing. Some people will like borrow sayings, and there are some that I really like, and there are some that like really bother me when I see them. And it's kind of funny how like in like specific fandoms, people will write a certain way because, you know, that's what they're reading. A lot of people, if they're writing it, they're reading it. Like just off the top of my head, a lot of people say like, oh, they carded their fingers through their hair. And every time I see that, I'm like, I don't love that. That's like a little quirk I notice. Like
when I totally know what you mean. When I write, I try not to use the same words for everything.
I do that too. Oh like, my gosh.
Because there's the whole thing of like, you'll take some classes or some people will say like, just put that like he said. You don't have to put like, you don't have to make it sound all flowery and nice. But like for me, sometimes I'm like, well, to me it's more than just like she said it.
Yeah, like, I agree.
It was spoken, but like it was spoken a certain way, or she like screamed or whatever.
Yeah.
Or yeah, like using like if there's an action, I try not to just use the like, oh my god, I I hate when I read, and this is just a pet peeve of mine. I hate when I read a fan fiction and people describe someone's eyes as orbs.
Yep.
I hate when I read that. It's just like, it's just a pet peeve of mine.
I am right there with you.
I've stumbled across that so many times, and I'm like, oh my god! Like as soon as I read something like that, it takes me out of it. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Another thing people do is they'll say, instead of like brunette, they'll say blue net. Like for Tokyo or Masato, they'll be like, "Oh, the blue net," and like, don't do that.
Just
don't
say
do
their
it.
Hair is blue.
Don't do that. And it's just so jarring every time I see it.
His hair is dark colored.
And like, if his hair's not relevant, you don't have to tell us that it's blue.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, a lot of people. Write too much, because sometimes you can write too much. Like you put too much. There's too much flowery language.
Yes, and I'm guilty of that too sometimes.
I am also guilty of that, but I also really like. I think my favorite thing to write is like dialogue. I really like writing dialogue the most over like describing things, which is why like it takes me so long to like write certain things, because like I just want to get to the talking. I
agree.
Dialogue's fun. I would much rather just have the two characters talking. And I feel like it's because I did theater, so it's like a lot of stage acting is just talking.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Like it's very easy for me to just do, okay, and then there's another line and another line and another line, okay, and then they're gonna do this, and then there's another like it's very easy for me to just do the dialogue part.
Yeah.
When it comes to like writing fan fiction or just writing in general, it's not a play or a script. That's when it gets really difficult, because I'm like, I hate having to like describe what the thing looks like or what the room looks like or where they're going or how they get there. Like, I just want to get to them talking.
Like, some of that stuff is so difficult. Like, sometimes it's just like not exciting at all, but it's necessary. And I'm just like, I don't want to write this. I want to do the fun stuff. And like, I try to be very conscious. Like, I'll like reread things, and I'm like, oh, I used that adjective like a paragraph ago. Like, I try to be very conscious of not repeating phrases and like similar. And like, sometimes that's inevitable. Like, you can't really work around that. But I don't know. There's just like sometimes like I don't mean this in like a mean way, but sometimes I'm reading something and I notice like, oh, this person's doing something I try to look out for. So that kind of reminds me, like when I'm doing my own writing, it's like, yeah, I got to be careful, you know, not to do this. I got to be careful to like check that I don't do that. But then there's like people that I'm reading a fic and I'm like, I can't, like, that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. And I try to like put it on my back burner. Like, I want to do something like that too. So it's kind of like the same thing. And I don't know, fan fiction, you know, like we said before, not everybody's like beta reading stuff and not everything is like being edited beforehand. So you shouldn't be like reading only fan fiction because, you know, I don't want to say amateur writers, but like people that are just like doing this, they're not always going to like have like the perfect grammar, like the perfect, so like you don't want to pick up bad habits. So it's important to read things that have been like edited and like gone through the publishing process, that kind of thing. But you know, there are a lot of people that do have really, really nice like prose and plot points and stuff in fan fiction, and you can definitely pick up skills from that too. It's just like a balance of the two things.
I just read the little parentheses that you
yeah, my disclaimer. Yeah, I write for a living now. I'm a magazine editor, and I end up writing a lot of the articles that we have in the publication. And I got my start with fan fiction. I honestly don't think that I would be near as good of a writer as I am today if I didn't spend all those years practicing with fan fiction. So there, if a person who writes for a living says that fan fiction's good practice, it's the law. It's the truth. I'm the expert. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I was a little silly with the slideshow, but yeah, it's you know, just like everything else, you're not going to get great at sports if you don't practice. You're not going to get great at an instrument if you don't practice. And writing is the exact same thing. And I really think that if I wasn't writing fan fiction, I wouldn't have gotten like those critiques from random strangers or like those flames that are like, oh, you did this so bad, it made me want to like jump off a building. Just like the audience that you get from fan fiction is very valuable, because it's, I mean, you can go to like you were talking about earlier, Mia, like when you go to college and you have like your peers that can critique these writing assignments. Not everybody, you know, has that. You know, not everybody has like a college class or like a high school class. So like just having people on the internet, that's a very valuable resource. And, you know, people might not really think of it in the moment, but it helps you out a lot. And it's a fun way to practice.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So it's, you know, like I said, it's important to like work on, if you want to be a news writer, it's important to practice, you know, like trying your hand at writing like a news thing. Or if you want to write a novel, you know, you should spend some time working on your own ideas and your own plots and characters. But fan fiction is kind of like a low stress way of practicing, I feel. It's like fun, and you get a lot of like gratification from like people commenting and liking and favoriting, and it doesn't feel like it's work, you know? It feels like it's very fun.
Yeah.
And not a lot of you know, homework doesn't feel fun to me ever. But writing fan fiction, like, yeah, I'm having a great time. And it's good practice. It's, I don't know. Everything is good in moderation. So as long as you're like trying to do other types of writing, and you know, if you don't want to be a professional writer, if this is just a hobby, that is a-okay and perfect too. You know, if this is just something for fun, that's all you ever want to do, that's great. I'm glad that you're doing that, and I'm glad you're having fun. But if you're an aspiring writer, you know, it's a way for you to develop and get better if you want to have like writing as a career, as your end goal. So it's good for everybody, you know. Having writing skills is valuable no matter what job you end up having.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like even just knowing like how to write a good email is like,
exactly,
it's really good to have good writing skills, because you know, like I am now like in my job, like, you know, I'm talking with the clients more, so you know, I have to make sure that I'm using good language and writing skills to make sure that I get them the information they want, or if I need more information from them, I ask the right questions, and I have to phrase it in a way that everyone's going to understand.
Yeah, it's a skill, and especially since a lot of jobs, so much communication is online and over email and stuff like that. It's never going to hurt you having that practice. Obviously, a corporate email is different than
than writing a plot for a fan fiction. But
those lessons that you learn, you can apply it in many different aspects of your life and stuff like that. I don't remember how many
slides you have.
Oh, I'm gonna backtrack. I remember I said I forgot to put this thing on the event page, and I'll remember to talk about it. Another thing I just remembered that people do is zines. That's a very big part of it. Zine,
I have, I bought one. It's not for Utapri. But I really like, Dimitri from Fire Emblem.
Hell yeah.
I really like, Dimitri and Byleth, like as a ship.
Yeah, me too.
He's my husband, man. Like,
he's a good boy.
Yeah, he is. So I bought a Dimilith zine a couple years ago, and it just has really good, like, cute. I don't think there's anything spicy in there, but there's like really good, and it's with male Byleth and female Byleth, so you can.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
But it's really cool, and it's like it's like, you know, professionally like bound and everything. It's on really nice paper, so like
the production quality on zines has like skyrocketed in recent years.
Well, I remember I also bought one a Zen one from Sick Messenger, but it was a the digital version. I have the digital version.
Sure. For anybody that doesn't know what a zine is, It's like a magazine, where we get the name zine from. But it's basically like a fan publication, and it involves like traditionally it would be like artists that they all draw a piece of art for a specific theme, a specific fandom, and then they all get compiled into an art book, and people will like make extras to go with it, like sticker sheets and like keychains and acrylic stands. It's like a whole bunch of art, and you can buy it.
I have an art zine of Mamoru Miyano characters.
Nice! Oh, that's cool.
So it's really cute.
I have an Obey Me one, and it was like a fashion zine. So like the whole point was like drawing the boys in like different event outfits. Cool. Yeah. And recently they've been opening up more to like fan fiction entries. I mean, I think there was always writing zines, but I remember like being like in the Tumblr days, it was almost always like artists working together. And those are very cool. But recently more people are like submitting short stories to zines. And there a couple years ago there was an Utapri zine, and it was called Prismatic. And
I think I remember that one.
Yeah, it was like the first chunk of gacha events from Shining Live, and the first chunk of events. And so I don't remember the exact numbers of how many events and gachas, but it was stuff like the whole Renardi and Otoya Arsene and Toki Lock. Those were in there. And like the Snow Stars Christmas gacha was in there, like the Shining Romance one. And it was set up that one person would draw both of the boys in the event or the gacha, so like the ultra rare and super rare pair, and then another person would write it was like a flash fiction, so like 500 words, which writing something short is almost harder than writing something that's very long, just because you have to be so concise and exact with every word that you're using, because you only have 500 words to like work out a whole scene and like a complete piece, So it was one person would do the art and one person would do the story for it. And at the end, everything was compiled into a magazine. It was like at the end, it was actually pretty big. I don't know what the paper size was, but it was like a magazine size. So that was pretty cool. And that was fun. I wrote the cover story and the Snow Stars Christmas, and I was so happy because I call him Snokia. That is my favorite card in all of Shining Live. I just loved the winter aesthetic. It was so fun. But yeah, it was like a zine. There was like a lot of people involved, and that was really fun. It's a huge undertaking, though. Like, it takes a lot of planning to organize the zine, and then like have someone edit it, like a graphic designer, and like find someone to print it, and then find somebody to take orders, and then find somebody to ship it. It is not easy, we'll say that. But at the end, it's very cool because you get like a tangible item. And I feel like for fan fiction writers, like artists, they can make prints and they can make merch and stuff. But when you're writing fan fiction, you're not, like people that make like doujins are, but those are more like comics, I think, than fan fiction. But it's not always like when you write a fan fiction, you get like a tangible object that you can hold at the end. So that's pretty cool. You have to be very careful though, because there was like some copyright issues and Broccoli got mad about it the first time it happened. So some things had to be changed. Like, it couldn't be for profit, like, at all.
Yeah.
It had to be, and that's how doujinshis, that's how they work. That's why they're so cheap when you see them advertised on Twitter. It's because, like, the Japanese copyright laws is, like, you can make these things, but it's not for profit. So the price will just cover, like, printing costs and, like, your table fees if you're going to an event. So the zine was kind of the same way, and other fandoms might be different. But Broccoli in particular was like, you are not going to make this a for-profit thing. And the event organizers were like, you got it. We won't do that. But yeah, it's a very big event. And I know things like Fire Emblem has a ton, obviously, that. But it's just kind of amazing to see the effort and like the production value of these things.
Yeah, it's
because they end up looking like actual, like a book you could find at a store and buy.
It looks pretty much like a book. It's just like the covers are like one side it's Dimitri and female Byleth, and then the other side it's Dimitri and male Byleth. It's the same picture, but it's like
that's cool.
Flipped. So it's really cool.
That is awesome. But yeah, I don't know if there have been other Utapri zines like before that or after, at least not in the English speaking fandom. I'm not 100% sure. But that is something I would love to see it again, but I acknowledge that that's not really something that I don't even know the first thing about like printing and doing something that big. So
it just depends, honestly.
Yeah. Huge props to the moderators for the last one. Like that was like a labor of love. That was very cool. So yeah,
do you have any other slides?
I think we're at the last one now. Shameless self promo.
Yeah, go for it.
This is where I put my little shit posts that didn't fit in earlier. So we have me and my embarrassing fic. I'm drowning it so no one sees it. I put my Do It For Him poster just because I like it. And then we have Haruka has her archive of her own. Please stop reading fics and come to bed. No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's my silly little. Those didn't fit anywhere else, but I thought I'd put them at the end. So yeah, my socials and stuff. I'm Wolf Toki on Twitter. My archive of our own account is called Aquacat. Please be 18 and up if you go there because there are some spicy fan fictions on there. Everything's marked and tagged, but just err on the side of caution. And then Uchi no Prince-sama Scenarios is my scenario blog revival era. It went dormant for a couple of years, but I thought it'd be fun to bring it back. So, yeah, that's what I'm up to with the fan fiction stuff.
Cool. Is that the last slide?
That is the last slide.
Okay. I'm going to take it off the screen.
Goodbye.
I mean, I love that slideshow. I've loved every slideshow that people have brought to.
There have been very nice ones. Like a lot of love has gone into them.
Yes, and I'm always thinking like if I have nothing to talk about, should I just make my own slideshow? But then I don't know what to do. I don't know what to make the slideshow of. So
sometimes you just start with an idea and it will come to you.
So I mentioned this to you before we started. Which, I mean, we have time. We can go over the 2 hours, obviously. Of course, it's my podcast, do whatever we want.
Yeah.
I'm still awake, so. So I know you've read quite a bit of Utapri fan fiction.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about a specific one. You didn't write this. I didn't write this.
Yes.
But I want to know if people have read this and if they're familiar with it, because I remember when I first became an Utapri fan, of course I'm going to read fan fiction. And this is like 2016 or 2017. This is an older fanfic.
It was from 2014.
Yeah, it's like from 2014, and that's when it was last like updated or whatever. But it's on fanfiction.net.
Our favorite.
Yes, it's not an archive of our own. It's fanfiction.net. But are you familiar with the fanfic? I think I'm pretty sure it's called Utapri, like the next generation or new generation.
Yeah, I had it pulled up. Oh, so, where did it go?
For those of you that don't know what this fanfic is about,
Utapri, the next generation.
The next
yes,
generation. Okay, so basically the plot synopsis of this Utapri fanfic is somehow by I don't know, some meddling from Shining Saltaman. I don't know what the hell happened. Somehow Haruka finds herself pregnant with like children from all 7 of the Stars members.
She was very pregnant.
I don't know. It's weird. But that's the wildest Utapri fanfic I've ever read.
Yes.
And I've always wanted to do like a dramatic reading of it here. I don't know if anyone would be interested in that. I am not shaming the author or anything. Like,
absolutely not. It's just such a interesting out there concept.
Yeah,
it's intriguing. It's I don't know.
It's just weird.
It was very much not a biology project. You know, it wasn't completely based in reality at all.
Says, I've read that one. The baby one.
It is the baby one.
Yeah, she has like a bunch of kids at the end, and then they create.
She has 10 babies
like
total.
10 kids. And then they all become idols together.
And they were like born in the proper like starish order, if I recall correctly. They came out nicely in order. And like the whole thing was like each of them, they were like all aware that Haruka was carrying their child. And so they were all kind of like competing to see, they're like, I'm going to be the one you end up with, right?
Yeah, so it's like, and then she almost marries Cecil in Agnopolis.
Oh, I don't remember that part. I mean, that sounds about right,
and
honestly.
Then I think they also reveal the Ultia and Cecil's mom, I think, in that fanfic too.
Sure.
So there's that part's in there. Yeah, so it's interesting.
It is a doozy.
I would love to like sit here and read it.
Like
a dramatic reading we get people to do the voices.
I think that would be hilarious. But did we mention that there was no nothing sexual happened?
No, nothing sexual happened.
Yeah, it was just like she woke up and Shining was like, "Oh, by the way, you're pregnant now. You have 10 babies," and she's like, "What?"
She's like, what? And then he's like, "Yeah." I can't remember how he.
I don't remember his reasoning.
It's like he said, like, "Oh, it's like an experiment or something."
Yeah, I just was like, okay, first of all, that's bold that you're gonna have this parenting, and there was no traditional. I don't want to say baby making, but that's what it is.
Yeah. I guess maybe they didn't want to turn it into like a not safe for work,
which I get. Because fanfiction.net used to let you not do that. They were like, you cannot put not safe for work on here. And everyone's like, oh, I'm going to do it anyway. But I mean, they were rule abiding, so that's good.
Yeah. But maybe also it was just an interesting concept. It's a completed fanfic. Like it ends.
Yep.
The way I'm going to spoil it for you. It ends
There's a sequel
how I said.
Too.
It ends with the kids are like gonna debut as like an idol group or some shit.
Yep, and they were all like spitting images of their fathers.
And like they're like they're not just like male children, they're like girls too.
Yep. There was boys and girls.
Yeah, they're like
there was a set of twins. I don't remember if it was Sho's babies or Natsuki's. I can't remember
who has twins, but
and they were all like, when Otia's baby was born, we could tell it wanted to play sports, and when Misato's baby was born, it was so quiet, and when Tokyo's baby was born, it loved when we read to it. It was just very much like, yep, they are their dads.
Literal, like, yeah, it's like, I feel like it's one of those fanfics where it's like, oh, the author is probably like, well, I don't want to leave anyone out because I'm sure someone's going to get mad that I didn't include this character. So I'll just make her pregnant with everybody. And then, I'll have like cute little moments of them flirting with her, like.
And it did have very sweet moments, you know. It did have very cute.
There's nice, cute moments. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I feel like I'm the only person who read this because I'm like, no one's talking about it. Of course, it's an old fanfic.
It is, but it's one of the first ones. It's one of the first ones that I read when I got into Utapri because I just sorted by hits, and bam, I was like, oh, okay, and I was like, oh, okay.
I know, like, yeah, Shining this out to me. What the fuck did you do?
I have it pulled up because I just want to like look at how they described.
Born with a fedora.
It probably was.
Yeah, the fedora jeans too. I kind of want us to read how that describes their kids at the end, though.
So, I just have like the baby part open. Tokyo's was the first one, I think. Tokyo, he named her Minako because she looks like her mom. Oh, did Tokyo have twins?
I can't remember. It's been a long time. Whatever it says there, I guess.
Yeah, so Tokyo's like, I want to name them this because they're nice, cute babies. Ren had a son named Kiyoshi. Masato had a daughter named Ayane. She had pink hair like her mom and blue eyes like her dad.
Well, that's...
Oh, Cecil had identical twin boys.
I don't know if I like that description. I don't know if I want a pink-haired, blue-eyed character, but whatever.
Sho had a daughter named Miku.
With a fedora?
Which had nothing to do with his love of Vocaloid. Oh, she had pinkish hair with streaks of blonde.
Okay, so
and then Ochiya had a daughter named Ami. And Natsuki had a daughter named Kokoro. And the baby had one Natsuki eye and one Haruka eye, which is cute.
Yeah, okay, so those are their kids.
Those are their babies. And then they grew up and got personalities.
Yeah.
They are kind of like... At the end, they all co-parent together. That's the thing. Like, they all live together.
That's nice. They probably all live in a big, giant house, kind of like the guys at Bros Conflict, probably.
I kind of like this
big apartment building. Everyone gets their own room.
Yeah! I like the subversion that, like, oh, you have to compete for love. It's like, no, we all love her, and she loves all of us. I'm like, that is refreshing that we're not, like, fighting and punching.
See, this is what sister wives and brother husbands should be.
Yeah, they had a press conference, and Tokyo's like, yes, we are all in love with our composer, and her children are all of ours.
That part. Oh my god.
Tokyo's like, I'm gonna clear things up here. Everyone listen to me. I'm gonna tell you how it is. And everyone's like, okay, we're gonna listen to him. Yeah, okay, so Tokyo had twins with her. He had 2 girls, and then Cecil had 2 boys with her. Everyone else was a singlet.
Their genes are powerful.
Yes. I don't know, I just think... Oh, wait. Oh! What? I'm confused. Oh, okay. I was like, wait. Reiji and Ranmaru are mentioned. They're their godfathers.
Oh, God. I was like, wait, she had more.
I was like, that's a little... Yeah, so, like, Reiji was godfather of Tokyo and Ochia's 2 or 3 babies.
Okay, that makes
and then
sense.
Ranmaru was, like, the godfather. Yeah.
All the senpais would be the godfather.
Yes. And then the media had a frenzy.
I like this is a universe in which only Starish is in love with her, and like Quartet Knight is.
Yeah, they're like, hey, peace out. We're gonna be cool uncles, and we'll leave it at that. Yeah. Oh, Heavens was in there too.
I don't remember Heavens. Maybe I do barely remember Heavens. Maybe.
They were just kind of briefly mentioned. Like Nagi is someone's godfather.
Oh, how unfortunate.
And then they Haruka was also, I just want to say, she was fine after carrying
it
10
tells
children.
you. I remember it tells you, like, oh yeah, she was fine.
It was like, yeah, that's like completely bizarre to have that many babies, but she was fine. You know, she's okay.
This small, petite Japanese woman is totally fine after birthing 10 children.
We gave her a tummy tuck. Don't worry about it. And no one worried about it. And Haruka got pregnant again. Oh damn!
But like,
okay.
how?
Oh, I'm just like skimming it. At the kid's second birthday, Haruka was 6 months pregnant. During her second pregnancy, things were a lot easier since she was only expecting twins. Renmaru adopted a boy, not with Haruka. Wait, who's the... Oh, Tokia. Tokia had babies with her the traditional way after that.
Yeah, hell yeah!
Oh, and then Otuya had a baby. Oh, so then they had...
Oh, then they just, like, did it the old-fashioned way.
There was more babies than I thought.
So wait, then they... Okay, so then they just did it...
Oh, Tokia and Haruka made a lot of babies after... Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, I don't remember this!
The youngest of them all is Tokia's youngest.
I don't remember all of these children.
And her birthday is September 12th. That's the only one that they gave a birthday to. So if that's your birthday twin, congrats.
Well, that's not a very good day, because the best day in September is September 16th.
Is that your birthday?
Yes, it's my birthday.
That's a good birthday.
It's also Mexican Independence Day.
Hey!
But it's my birthday, yes. That's the best day in September.
September is a good time to have birthdays, and December is a good time to have birthdays, because that's my birthday's in December. Masato is the closest birthday to me. But yeah, lots of babies.
I think Ramaru's in September.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't remember having that many children.
I just want to make sure I'm not missing this. So she had I don't want to say normal baby, but she had like a baby the normal round with Tokia.
LOL.
Tokia says we have the best family. So yes.
Say that. Oh my god.
Wait.
We have to read this fanfic out loud.
Tokia had a legit twin that wasn't Hayato, but he is no longer with us, and we named one of the babies after him.
Oh my god!
There's so many layers to it I forgot about.
I don't remember half of this stuff happening in this fanfic. I need to reread it, but maybe this is why I want to read it, because I want to read it out loud.
There's an episode, there's a podcast episode right there. Wait, okay, following the twins, Haruka gave birth to a little princess named Kimiko, but who is Kimiko's dad? Okay, we're just glossing over that. Maybe it was Tokia again. I don't know. Otia had a baby with her. By the time the oldest 10 were 15 years old, they had 10 additional siblings.
Jesus Christ.
Ren had another kid with her. Masato had another baby with her.
This is like the Mega Chad version of like
Masato had 2 more with her.
This is the Mega Chad version of like 19 Kids and Counting.
Yes,
like
then Natsuki, then Sho, then Toki again, because he just wasn't done.
he really likes.
He's like, Haruka, you have an ass that won't quit. Yeah. So
he really wants to make babies with her.
That is so many babies.
Dude, I don't know what Tokia wanted.
I like to think that Tokia would be like a one and done type of dad.
That's what I feel like. I feel like for him it'd be like, okay, 2 maximum. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like he is more of a, I'm going to put my love and attention to one kid completely. But maybe I don't know, maybe he would want more.
Maybe he would. I don't know.
I feel like some of the other boys would be more
I feel
likely
like
to have
ones that would like want more than like 3 kids.
Like Ochiya would want to have a lot of kids.
Oh yeah, he'd want like 1 million children, and so would Natsuki.
Yeah.
I feel like Masato and Ren would probably want just like a few.
Yeah, so I think that they would like to have like a normal sibling relationship, so that they can like, you know, maybe Sho would, you know, Sho could go either way. I think.
I feel like that too, and then Cecil, I don't know what the hell are the rules in Agnapolis, dude.
I feel like he would be another one that's like he would either be like one or he would have a few.
I don't remember that either. I just remember there were a lot of kids.
There were a lot of kids.
It's such a good fic, TBH. It's so memorable.
This is pretty quiverful.
Christ.
19 idols and counting.
Oh God. Well,
wow.
more than that, apparently, they got real busy with her. After that,
are they trying to have like an ensemble stars cast going on with this many babies?
They're trying to have their own ensemble stars.
But like aside from the baby part, it was very sweet. Like they were all very attentive dads.
Yes, they're all like very like attentive partners to her.
And like from what I remember, they were like kind of being like, "Oh, you should marry me," but they weren't like pressuring her to like. Yeah,
I remember them each being kind of like, "Oh well, you know, you marry me, I'll take care of you."
Yeah, like they were all showing how they wanted to provide for her, and then at the end they're like, "Well, you know what? We can all just
do it together.
It'll be one big happy family.
We are starish.
We are, and you are starish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the baby idol group debuted at the end.
I love headcanon parenting too. I love it so much.
I love
those are some prompts that I really like to read.
Yes, I agree.
I love it's like, what would they be like as a dad?
Yes.
Or a mother or whatever, a parent. Or like what how would they take care of their pregnant partner or whatever? Like, I love that.
Like, I'm pretty firmly in the camp of, like, I don't know if I ever want to have a child of my own, but if I'm thinking hypothetically with Tokia, I'm like, hell yeah, let's go! Like,
oh yeah, with certain characters, it's like, would I have
let's go dad mode.
Yes, I
would. But
the
maybe not 10.
The rule of Agnapolis is twirl.
Just spin.
That's how it happened.
Where did babies come from?
And you are starish equals family, yeah.
Yeah. But yes, it was a very, I mean, as jarring as 10 babies seems at first, it is not a bad fan fiction. But it's fan
fiction, yeah. Anything can happen. I just think it's a bizarre, like,
it's just a premise I have not really seen a lot.
Yeah, so I am so down to read this. We'll do like, you know, people used to do dramatic readings of like My Immortal.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do one with this Utapri fanfic.
Like, I am not trying to imply that this is bad like My Immortal, but it is kind of like the My Immortal of the Utapri fanfiction.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't think I've read anything quite like this in the Utapri fanfiction.
Just because it's been around for so long and a lot of people know about it, and it's just like, yes, that's a fan fiction.
Yeah, it's definitely like we've mentioned before, it's very memorable. Like My Immortal is very memorable.
It is
bad, but this one is more memorable for just like the plot and like
it's just a little out there.
It is. It's very out there, but you know, Shining Saltame doing shit like this, like that's totally canon. Like I know for sure he would do some weird ass shit like this.
They just kind of glossed it over, and she's like, "Wait, I have 10 babies," and he's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Oh, okay, I guess that's awesome." Yeah. I don't know, and I just like the genetic angle that it's just 7 different dads all up in there.
They're all, but yeah, like it's just very. again, yeah, like it is like a poly positive ending. It's
Yes,
very like,
yes, it is.
I tune the heck in it. Hell yeah, yeah, for sure. We need to. I'm totally down to read this down the line because, again, that's like you said, that's a whole episode right there.
Yes, it truly, truly is. I agree.
Well, with that said, when that happens, excuse me, because now that we've said it and like it's gonna manifest and
spoke it into existence.
Yeah, I spoke it into existence. So we're gonna have to. Would you like to read it with me?
I would be honored
on stream.
I would be honored.
I would love to do that. Yeah, we could just do the voices, and maybe I'll read a chapter, then you read a chapter.
Yeah,
out loud, and we react. I think that would be fun.
It would be.
And I'm not. I would say, like, it's gonna be like, you know, a little into the future, maybe a couple months from now. I would say.
Oh
but
yeah.
I don't want to reread it because I want to be surprised with what happens.
You want to have like the legitimate reaction, and it's like this is also. I'm sure everyone like. They know our intent. It's not to mock it. It is to celebrate it.
It's to celebrate it. Like,
it is to celebrate it.
You know, I don't want to shame the author because I'm not shaming the author.
Absolutely not.
It's a weird fanfic, but I really think it's
just so unique. And
yeah, and you know, if we do like kind of
it does a lot of things really well.
If we do poke fun at it, I mean, it's because we're Utapri fans. This is Utapri fanfic. I'm gonna like
Utapri inherently is something a little outlandish.
Yeah, it is a little out there and strange and unique in its
just
own
a
way.
little
As an idol series, as an ultimate series.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that if we celebrate it and we poke fun at it, whatever. But at the end we're not being malicious about it.
Absolutely not. If the author is here, on the very obscure chance that they are here, I love this fan fiction.
Yeah, I think it's great.
It is so funny.
It's very funny, it's silly, but yeah, there's lots of cute, sweet moments that I think really do good justice to the characters, because I really like when I read fan fiction and it's like, that's like totally what the character would do. If I'm very familiar. That's why like when I used to roleplay, which I feel like is another, you know, aspect of fan fiction, in a sense, I would never roleplay characters unless I was super familiar with them, and I made sure that I never made them do anything out of character, because I would feel like I'm not portraying the character correctly.
Yeah, I think that's very important to me, to make sure, like, I worry about characterization a lot, and I don't know, it's very important to get it right.
So yeah, tune into a future episode. We can plan this after we go offline.
Yeah,
off live for that, because I really want to read it.
I'm always down to clown.
And I just, you know, I think it'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about before we end here?
I guess just my one last closing thought is a funny story to share. A while ago, I was on Twitter, and it was like when the birthday cards were first starting. And I was like, oh my gosh, they have like champagne and alcohol. I wonder what they're like when they're tipsy. And you were there too. And you were like,
oh yeah.
You were like,
I forgot. I wrote a freaking.
You wrote a fan fiction based off that Twitter thread. And that is one of my favorite Tokyo fics. It was so cute. Like, I remember I put a comment on there and I like just gushed. And I reread it not that long ago. To be completely honest, and I was just like, this is just so cute, and it's one of my favorites. So I just wanted to.
I'm glad.
I just wanted to throw that out there. It's so cute.
I remembered and then forgot that I wrote that. But yeah, that was like a little one shot that I was just like, oh yeah, I was just like,
yeah, and it's just funny.
I just sat there and wrote it because I'm like, oh my god, yeah, that would be like, I would love to like
Yeah, it's
I
funny how
wanna
you
imagine
get like
that.
the ideas like that, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run with it.
I also feel like I was in that mindset too because I'm like, oh my god, I just got this freaking birthday card and I love reading the story for it. And it's like,
Yes.
yeah, I kind of want to like also like I want to know what happens afterwards, so I wrote that. But yeah, I'm glad. I should write more Utapri. Okay, I will
Yes.
say I do have an Utapri fanfic that I was gonna write a long time ago, and I think I wrote like part of it, like the first chapter, or I can't remember. But I still
Oh.
have like the outline of it on my Google Docs, and I like put a lot of work into it, and I just never did anything. But
It's never too late.
I think in the future I am gonna do it. But it is a fanfic. Where it is like Tokyo Haruka, but I do have the other
Ooh.
characters in there, and they do have like nice moments with Haruka, but it like every chapter is a different character.
Oh, cool.
Doing something with her.
Yeah.
Not like sexual or anything like that. But, like they're off doing anything, work or whatever.
Sure.
But it's like every one of the other characters is like realizing that like, oh, like she's not in love. She's only in love with one of us, and it's Tokyo Sami.
Oh,
And
that.
they like come to terms with it, but because I'm a little slut for Tokyo, So like I want, yeah. It's it's like I needed to. I like it's something like that where they all kind of like come to terms with it, but they're like happy for like them, like
yeah, that's refreshing. That it's like I am coming to terms with it and accepting. That's
I just
awesome.
don't know if anybody else would want to read it because they're like, why did you not pick my favorite character?
I'd read it.
Well, I'm glad you would read it. But yeah, well, and I also wanted to use like the language of flowers.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
So also like each chapter would be a different flower.
That's awesome. I love like when there's like themes and stuff like that.
Yeah, like it would be themed, and so like, oh my god, let me pull up. You know what? I'm gonna pull up my Google Doc. Because it's like, oh god, where the hell is it? It's like it's all the way down here somewhere.
I'm glad that this could be inspiration-ish.
Oh, here we go. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so I wrote like an OC too.
Ooh.
So I made so I put in that there's like a new. So here's a synopsis of a fic I haven't written basically yet. But let me tell me what you guys think of it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so basically, I even had the girl's name and everything. Like I have all this shit written down.
Very nice.
Okay, so there's a new idol that's coming to the Shining Agency, and she is gonna sing duets with each Starish member. And during like and Haruka's gonna write the songs, of course.
Yes.
But during these different things, she realizes that like she can get jealous, but it's specifically like with Tokyo because he and this other girl like they do well together.
Sure.
The other members like sense that and they confess their own feelings to her to try to help her come to terms with her jealousy. So yeah, and then oh yeah, I wrote like I gave this girl like a whole like backstory. Like I made her name like mean something. So like her name is Hana Akiyama. Like that's her real name.
Sure.
Flower and autumn. So those are the meanings.
Yeah.
Her pop idol name is Hika. So like ice or fire is he, and then the ka is like perfume, like or smell, foul.
Oh, that's cool. I love thematic naming like that. That's so good.
So like I made it so she's like not very wealthy, but her parents own like a greenhouse. And they export flowers everywhere, so she knows a lot of flowers. She has like a specific like music style, kind of for like her solo music. She's like a super confident, strong singer. Of course, this other girl takes a liking to all the members, especially like Tokia. And then she admires Haruka. She wants to learn how to write music. She co-writes the lyrics. She's good at writing lyrics. She always wears a flower in her hair.
Beautiful.
I even wrote how tall this girl is. She's taller than Sho, but she's shorter than Tokia. She dresses super fashionable. She can tell the guys are in love with Haruka, but can tell the most with certain characters. I wrote, she'll seem very pushy and bitchy the closer we get to Tokia, realizing he's with Haruka. She won't change him, but some of his actions may come into question. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Some of this stuff I'm like, wow, it's been years since I wrote this, so I don't know what the hell that means. And then I wrote that this girl's gonna end up with either Otoya or Ren, depending on like how shit goes down. I guess how I write it, how it happens. I wrote, or even Reiji, but like he's old, so I made this for like 17, so maybe not him. I probably shouldn't do that. Well, I put in parentheses, still not sure about that.
Still not sure. That's okay.
She's basically a nice girl, but has flaws like everyone else. She's nice but fierce. She knows what she wants and isn't going to hold back, blah, blah, blah. Possible comfort from someone else, as mentioned above with ending up with someone else. Okay, anyways. And then I linked the, like, Hanakotoba, like, Wikipedia of, like, the language of flowers in Japanese.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And then I was going by their, like, season 2 ages, kind of, even though, like, I don't know if that's, like, correct. So I made them, like, you know, have specific ages, and then I even wrote people's nicknames for other people. So I wrote Ren's nicknames for people, Otoya's nickname for Masato, Reiji's names for Haruka.
It's never bad to be prepared.
And then I wrote my OC, her names and nicknames that people will call her. And then, okay, here's the chapters. Why did I write it like this? Oh, because everyone gets 2 chapters.
Okay.
So the first chapter is like the intro chapter. I think I wrote that, and that was it. The second intro chapter, I wanted to create chemistry between the OC and everybody else. The first character that gets 2 chapters is Otoya. I had to come up. I wrote down, come up with story for the duet and overall arc. Okay, so that means nothing. I didn't come up with anything. The second chapter, resolve any conflict and create tension overall arc development. Hana sees Otoya, loves Haruka, calls him out. Okay, yeah, so that was the second chapter. The next character that gets 2 chapters is Masato. I think I was trying to go in order and then I did it wrong because, why the fuck did I put Natsuki after Sho? Whatever.
Sometimes I get the order wrong, too.
Okay. First Masato chapter, have Hana figure out Masato's feelings for Haruka, have them all bond over something. Second chapter, continue bonding and arc to resolution. Okay, that means I didn't come up with anything. Next is Ren. Yeah, see, why the fuck did I put Ren next? It should be Natsuki, whatever. First Ren chapter, Hana first figures that she and Ren would be compatible, but sees how much she loves Haruka, more Tokia and Haruka arc. Okay, that's like during the chapter. Second one, Hana tries to get to know more about Haruka and her ability to compose music so effortlessly. She sees how much Haruka's music affects people and changes them / brings them together. Okay, so that has nothing to do with Ren, but whatever. First Sho chapter, he's next. Tasked to sing a duet. Oh, for the new Prince of Fighting, and they have to kiss in the video.
Oh yeah, ooh.
I don't know. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Is that like? Would they do that in Japan? I have no idea.
It's fan fiction.
They do in my world. Haruka gives Sho advice and helps him feel better. And then next chapter, resolving Sho's fears and have Hana sit it on Haruka, composing her next piece for Natsuki, who's next. And then I color coded all the text.
I love the attention to detail.
Yeah, why did I not do this? Anyway. First Natsuki chapter, Haruka and Tokia development beneath main conflict. Natsuki. Oh, Hana sees Satsuki for the first time. Okay, so Satsuki's still around.
Ooh.
Second Natsuki chapter, Stars bands together with Hana and Haruka to get Satsuki to bring Natsuki back. Okay. Next is Cecil. Another episode where they go on vacation. To a garden festival where Cecil and Hana will sing the opening song. Hana takes a group to her parents' massive greenhouse because flowers. Second chapter, they perform the song and Tokia and Hana get close in the greenhouse. Haruka gets jealous of seeing them together so closely. God damn. That's already 14 chapters. Tokia gets 4 chapters is what I wrote.
He deserves it.
He does. But it just takes so long. I'm already at chapter 15. Tokia and Haruka face a new advertising campaign. Okay, I think I wrote out, I had like a whole thing. Here's the first Tokia chapter. So they become the faces of a new advertising campaign and they sing the theme. Haruka has trouble composing a song. After seeing Tokia and Hana together, Hana tries to compose a song herself and ends up getting everyone except Tokia upset with her. I don't know how that's going to happen, but okay. Second chapter, Tokia comforts Hana, takes her out alone, alienating them from the group. Stars follows them and see what looks like to be a romantic date, but is really Tokia trying to just comfort her from her embarrassment. Third chapter, Tokia takes girls to different places a lot.
What a gentleman.
He is a gentleman. Haruka must complete the song before the deadline, and the rest of Stars help her figure out her feelings for Tokia. She finishes the song after Stars and Court Tonight, maybe. Get her to confess her feelings out loud. She produces the song, gives it to Tokia and Hana, who now seem to be spending a lot of time together. And then the fourth chapter of Tokia, Hana beams about getting to be with Tokia in front of Haruka, who keeps things to herself. The rest of Stars confront Tokia and get him to confess his feelings for Haruka out loud, which is what we should do with all of them, because, my god... I like your songs so much.
I like your songs.
Yeah. I love your songs.
Aww.
Nothing else. Final chapter. Wrap up any loose ends. Haruka and Tokia confess their feelings. Shit. I fucked it up. Hold on. Control Z. I messed it up. It's gonna say I edited it now. Haruka and Tokia confess their feelings to each other and finally kiss for the first time. Ooh. Hana realizes how manipulative and much like Haruka she wanted to be and lost herself in the process. So she's going to turn out to be like a nice person. And then I have an epilogue chapter. So it has 20 chapters, apparently. Gear up to the beginning of season 3. Jesus Christ, why did I put it there? Oh, it's because I said it so this girl debuts like the year after they do, so they're already like professionally working. Anyways.
Gotcha.
We have Haruka bump into Tokia and have the "I only want you to bump into me" line from the anime because I really like that.
That is cute.
It's changed, of course, because now they're together. Because I say so. Hana sees Haruka and thanks her for everything. Hana is now in a relationship with someone, not sure who yet. Happy ending. That's what I wrote at the end.
Happy ending.
Oh, I did start writing the shit. I wrote like a whole first chapter, apparently.
Well, look at that.
Oh, and then I started writing chapter 2. Oh,
hey,
yeah,
that's a good start.
And then at the beginning, I would have like a different flower, and I would put the Japanese name, and then I would put the English name, and then I would put the meaning.
Oh, that's cool. Nice format.
Yeah, so... Oh, man. Well, anyways, what do y'all think of that? That's my...
I think that is definitely something that you should continue and expand upon.
I hope I can. Let's see. I'd read it too. She fell in with one of them. Having those coming to terms. I think so. Yeah, it's like because, like, okay, I am gonna say that I'm working on a different fan fiction for a different fandom, and
Sure.
it is also about coming to terms with like who you are and your identity, but like also like romantically. because I really like Skate the Infinity.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Joe is my man.
Joe is a good boy.
He's like I like to call him my baby daddy. I call him my husbandos.
I love it.
But he gives off like the biggest bisexual energy that I've ever felt from a character ever. So,
I concur. I agree.
Because everyone ships him with Chetty, so I'm like, would anyone want to read a fanfic where he gets with somebody else?
Oh, I think so.
So my solution to that question or that problem, but also with questioning like your sexual identity of like, wow, what does it mean to be bisexual?
Yeah.
Specifically for him as a character, not the OC, but like for him, because I think that's interesting. And I've never written something like that before.
That is a very interesting angle to explore, especially with a character who's still
So that one is the OC, the main character, basically. She is gonna move there. She's gonna work at his restaurant. And like fall in love with him, but she's gonna see that like he's clearly not like maybe he does flirt with her and he is possibly interested in her, but like he's clearly in love with someone else.
Ooh, the drama.
And so like, she doesn't want to like cause trouble with that, but she's also like, well, but I'm also like, I'm like in love with him.
Yeah.
So like, what do I do? So then they are. Man, I don't want to spoil everything, but my
it's
friend
exciting to talk about it.
Yeah, my friend that's beta reading this for me, she's not gonna listen to this podcast because she doesn't really know anything too much about Utapri. I'm having her watch it, but I don't think she's gonna listen to this podcast or anything. So I think I'm good. I don't want to spoil it for her. But anyway, so basically, what's gonna happen is it's gonna be like two parts, not obviously 2 chapters, but like
Yeah. Like split into 2 sections.
Book 1 and book 2, whatever.
Yeah.
So the first book, or the first part, is going to end where they are going to sleep together because, yeah. I want to like have more than one scene like that between like different characters, of course. Like, but I feel like I need to read more like BL scenes and stuff because I have never written that before. So I don't want to be like I want to make sure that I do it right. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I understand.
So I'm like
completely.
I need to read some BL fan fiction of those 2 characters of Kaudu and Joe.
Just do some research.
Yeah, I need to research for that before I write anything like that. Like I've started writing it, I just haven't finished it because it's really hard. It's really hard because again, I really like dialogue, and I haven't had them had the characters talk too much because I'm just describing everything. Because it's a OC, so like everything to her is new. Anyway, so they're gonna sleep together. Because I don't know, I don't want him to like pity bone her. Because I feel like he would be attracted to her.
Yeah.
But he's not like explicitly only seeing like Kaudu or anything like that, so that's like my justification for that. But they're going to sleep together, and then she's going to leave. Somehow, I don't know how that's gonna happen. I don't know yet.
You'll think of something.
Yeah, I'll think of a way. She has to leave, so she's gonna leave. Oh well, I made it so like her mom is married to some guy, but they live abroad. So she doesn't see them, and like her father died or something, and so she doesn't really have any family. That's the other thing, is like she doesn't have any reason to stay. So then she's gonna go to like live with her mom and stepfather like abroad, maybe like in the US or something. And then book 2 or part 2. Like she leaves, and like that's the end of part 1, and he's kind of like, okay, well, what do I do? Like I don't know how. Like, who do I choose?
I am lost.
Yeah, I'm lost because it's like on the one hand, there's this woman, and like I really like her, and I have feelings for her and everything, and like obviously we slept together. But also, like, I'm in love with Kaudu. I love him. Like, what do I do? And, yeah.
What does my heart want?
Yes, what does my heart want? So then part 2 is going to open where it's like a few years later, and she comes back because I'm going to make it so she's going to have this elderly neighbor who's going to leave her, like, their house. So she's like, well, shit, now I'm going to have to, like, I have to go there to, like, sell it or whatever, or, like, fix it up so I can sell it and get rid of the property, because I don't want the property, but I don't want to demolish the house or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're gonna have a daughter together. Like
aw,
that.
cute.
It resulted in that they had a child. Though, like, the one time they slept together.
That is either incredibly lucky or
That is fan fiction. Like you said, it's fan fiction.
Yeah.
But anyway,
okay.
So then it's kind of like, well, shit, also, like, I gotta bring a kid with me because, well, I'm gonna be there and her dad is there, so she's gonna go see him, but she doesn't want to see him because she's like, well, it's gonna be insinuated that, like, obviously they've communicated this whole time, like, he knows he has a child, the child knows that he's her dad and all that stuff, like, they've maybe, you know, she's trying to co-parent because she's of the mindset of, like, well, you're not in love with me, so, like, what do I do? Part 2 is, like, her trying to figure out, like, do I stay here? Because, like, oh, I'm going to realize that, like, oh, I still love him. Like, that's why I have his child. It's part of him.
Yeah.
With me. And then also, like, him kind of trying to figure out, like, well, do I stay? Because I feel like at that point, like, also he's, like, basically kind of in a relationship with Kyle. I don't know. I have to figure that out. But I don't know how to end it because I want to do 2 endings.
Okay. Well, and that's
one where he ends up with her and one where he doesn't end up with her. But I don't know if that would be too sad.
I mean, you could always explore both of them and let people pick.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I could just I feel like my thing is I would just write both and then be like, well, choose your own ending.
And maybe it's one of those things that, you know, as you're writing it, you kind of figure out more as you go.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's one that I'm working on right now.
That is, I would read the shit out of that.
I'm glad. I'm having such a hard time figuring out just how to complete the first chapter and everything. But yeah, that's like something that I just thought about for a while, and I was like, yeah, I've never written anything like that. I've always just written, like, hetero as fuck stuff.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Of course, you know, it's the easiest thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I want to dabble into that and, like, hopefully, you know, do it justice. But yeah, so that's, like, basically that. I have a Mystic Messenger fanfic that I stopped writing. Like, you can read most of it on AO3 on my AO3, but I just didn't continue it. And that's the one fanfic that I still get comments on of people being like, I hope that you finished this. And that one's an unrequited love fanfic too.
Oh, amazing. Beautiful.
Well, it starts off as unrequited and then it becomes like,
gotcha. That's still
and
good.
Also it's like a reader insert, but it's like second person. So I've written it. I've made it like the most like K-drama shit. Because I'm like, well, it's a Korean game. Gotta make it like a K-drama.
Again, nothing wrong with that. If that's
and
your
I think
jam.
I've had people comment, like post comments on it. They're like, oh, that's like a K-drama. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I was going for.
Good. I'm glad you think that.
But yeah, so there's that fanfic. I also, I think the Utapri fanfic, I think I called it Flowers for Haruka, so I think you can read the first chapter on AO3. I think I posted that like a long ass time ago.
Woo!
I just never finished writing the other 19 chapters.
Hey, all in due time.
I'm jealous and I don't even know the girl. This is good. Or even Ragey.
Even Ragey.
Star stalking, or yeah, exactly. It's like something like that. I feel like that's what the that part would be. But yeah, Utapri Fanfiction is just like its own thing. I know
Is
I
its
talked about other
whole
fan
own
fiction
world.
from other things and whatever, but like, in general with Utapri fan fiction, I feel like yeah, you can do kind of anything.
Exactly. And that's the fun magic part of it.
But I am down. I know you guys are down to listen to us reading what Utapri the Next Generation.
Woohoo!
So yeah, I think that would be fun to do. So yeah, we'll plan it out so that way you guys can tune in and listen to what we how we react, because I don't remember half the stuff that happens now that we're going over the end. I didn't remember they had like a shit ton of more kids.
Oh, a lot of babies.
That's a lot of babies. Her uterus must just...
I feel bad for... Yeah,
I know, owie.
She's been through it.
She's been through the ringer a lot of times.
Few times.
But well, thank you so much for joining me, Annie.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you had fun, and I'm glad we were all here to enjoy the amazing PowerPoint and everything, and just talk fan fiction. And yeah, I also have an AO3. Okay, if you guys go to AO3, you just type in my username in the author thing, and you'll find me. And you'll see what kind of fanfics I've written.
Read her stuff; it's good.
They're not finished unless they're a one shot. So yeah, I think I also have a miraculous fanfic on there. I'm never finishing that, by the way. Even though I came up with like a good story for that, I don't know. I don't feel like I want to write miraculous fanfiction.
Hey, that happens, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. The show's gone downhill for me, so I don't know if I want to keep writing a fanfic. But we'll see. I definitely am down to finish the other ones that I have on there. And of course post this newest one that I'm still working on. But yeah, check it out. Go check out Annie's links as well.
Woo!
Go read her writing and leave constructive comments, okay?
We love constructive comments.
No flaming my story, preps.
Don't read.
That's a My Immortal.
Yeah, no preps.
No preps, only goths.
Goths only.
I want a full gothic.
We need to listen to Ebony Dementia Darkness Raven Way.
Yes, listen to Ebony Darkness Dementia Raven Way. Wearing my
she's got her fishnets and her My Chemical Romance
and
shit.
My Chemical Romance t-shirt with purple streaks in my hair.
Yes.
All the way down to my butt. And then also Draco is there, and Vampire is there.
And Emo.
And Snap and
Dumbledore.
And Dumbledore and Voldemort and Harrogrid and all of them. They're all there.
My favorites.
Yeah, go read My Immortal. That's the only Harry Potter writing you should be consuming.
It'll change your life.
Yeah, it's better than it's way better than the books.
Yes, I agree.
It's not, as far as I know, it's not written by a TERF. So go read My Immortal, but also go read my fanfiction and Annie's fanfiction. Go read Utapri Fanfiction. And we are going to read out loud at some point Utapri Next Generation for you guys to enjoy.
Yes, look forward to it.
So tune in next time, which will be May 12th is the next episode of Utano Podcast. And yeah, have fun, stay safe. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yay, bye.